emptied some of the Gatorade out and filled the bottle with vodka, and that's somewhere prior to the crash. 12:29, a report comes in and will play the radio, the 911 calls, describing how she was driving, everything you see. Mailbox, trash can, drove the wrong way against traffic, almost hit a vehicle, head-on in Peninsula Drive. 3 minutes later, a second caller comes in to report that that vehicle was all over the road, Pennsylvania tag on it, and both described it as a woman driving the vehicle. At 12:38, she kills our victim. What you're not going to see in here is that our victim, Tammy Jo Baker, enters that booth at 12:38:05. At 12:40, she's dead. At 12:39, EMTs are on location providing or trying to save Tammy Jo's life. So, Andrew?
What's the address of your emergency?
Yes, there's a drunk driver, black Chevy truck going down Peninsula towards Dunlawton at the time being.
With the Pennsylvania license plate.
Almost hit several cars. Ran into a trash can, making a U-turn in the middle of Peninsula, tried to pass 2 separate times driving down the wrong side of the road.
Okay, black Chevy truck?
Yes.
Pennsylvania plate.
And it's a woman driving, a blonde-haired woman driving.
Okay, and which way currently is it going on Peninsula? Is it going south and north?
Southbound towards Dunlawton. We're up at the school at the time being when it all happened, the elementary school. At that time, she was going northbound. Then she made an illegal U-turn in the middle of the Peninsula.
Okay.
And then when she made a U-turn, she was heading straight for us, and we had stopped so we'd stay out of her way.
Yeah, don't put that on. All right, what is your name? And what's the phone number for you? Okay, all right, we'll put it out for our units to be on the lookout for it, okay?
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Actually, I'm calling to report a very drunk driver.
Alright, what street are they driving on, and what's the nearest intersection?
They're on Peninsula and they're gonna be short, just north of Peninsula and Carter.
Carter, okay, which direction are they traveling?
Traveling south, it's a OBNC with Pennsylvania tag,
What color is the GMC?
kind of gray color.
Okay, what do they do?
It's a young blonde lady. She was all over the road, really bad.
Okay. Did you see the license plate number from Pennsylvania?
I got C605 something. I didn't get the whole thing.
Gotcha, okay. Alright, just stay at a safe distance. I did put in a call, and we'll let the units in the area know what's going on so that they can be on the lookout, okay? Just stay at a safe distance, okay?
Okay, thank you. I've never done it before like that. How bad it was.
Okay, yeah, you've been helpful. You've done everything right.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
This is the video from the condo to the north of it. And I don't know, we have the video from the south, from the Pirates. And you can see right behind there, that's one of our lifeguards who witnessed the whole thing. She was turning in off of Dunlawton when you saw that crash. This is from our traffic camera, or the building there, to the north, the condo to the north.
Hey, she needs so too. Then what's the last name? E-L-L?
Yep, she's serious.
Could you please not record this?
And just like, real quick. I'll just figure this out. Alright. You're not gonna try to run away my side, alright? I'm gonna make a fight of it for you to get off. No. Okay. No, I don't. Alright, have a second.
All right, you are.
So before I get
looking
into
or-
her,
or listening
here's
to
where we're at right now. We are waiting to execute a search warrant to recover any and all evidence inside of the vehicle. We have been in contact with the state attorney's office since this has occurred. We are in the process of getting video from Metz's bar that shows her in there drinking. Once all of those things come together, we're going to go, the state attorney already knows, we're going back and asking for a warrant for vehicular homicide and no bond. We asked for it last night and we were turned down. They wanted more information. We've gone out today and gotten more information to do that. She was Baker acted because she had made statements about wanting to take her own life. As far as I can tell right now, she still is in Baker Act custody. She is 35 years old. She has no real criminal history. She has a risk protection order out on her from 2025, basically where she's not allowed to possess firearms. The address that she gives us is a state park, which is where she lives, in a state park. And that's where we are at. I think the thing to take away is you're here and you're gone. 35 seconds after our victim enters the booth, she's dead. And our job is to build a case to make sure that Tammy Jo and her family get justice. And I am proud of every single traffic homicide investigator for working around the clock on this. And I'm also really proud of the lifeguards and the EMTs who were there to do their job as the best they can in horrific situation, just horrific. Nobody's going to survive that. And they did their best. So, what he's got?
What did her blood alcohol content?
We have no idea. No idea. God knows when we'll get it back. And that's when you investigate traffic homicides, there's a lot that's still going on. Blood alcohol is number one. The other thing is the condition of the vehicle. Was there a mechanical failure in that vehicle that the defense is going to say, well, the brakes didn't work or the accelerator was broke or whatever to try to mitigate this? That has to be done. Those two things alone take time on top of everything else.
Shami's turning 63 this month, right?
Her birthday was June 16th. She would have turned 63 on June 16th.
You obviously got calls 10 minutes before this happened. Did any deputies spot her before? Or?
Well, I think the question would be, that's city limits. Nobody spotted her. Like this, somebody had spotted her. If they would have spotted her and pulled her over, she would have been locked up for DUI and somebody would be alive. But, you know, there's a 5-minute or 7-minute window up there, and you probably shave off another 3 minutes by the time the call got dispatched. So you're looking at maybe 3 to 4 minutes after those calls had come in.
What additional charges did you keep looking at that results in the toxicology?
Vehicular manslaughter is what we're going with now, and then obviously it would be enhanced if the tox comes back. It's going to come back because she also is prescribed medical marijuana, and she's prescribed a bunch of different medical marijuana, oral, inhaler, you name it. There's all different kinds of medical marijuana in there too, and people need to understand something on top of the alcohol. Just because you have a prescription for medical marijuana doesn't mean you're supposed to drive when you're using it. It's no different than Turk and Percocets, where it says do not drive or operate machinery. And if you're drinking vodka and Gatorade, and you're drinking rum and Coke, and you're drinking shots, somebody's going to have a bad day and end up dead.
Is there anything that could be done to improve safety at this branch or any other?
Listen, we know my policy here. I don't deal with the News Journal, okay? I answered a question.
Continue to ask questions.
And you will be asked to leave, okay? You are not going to disrupt my press conference with your bullshit. I'm telling you right now. You keep filming it. I have freedom of...
All right, you've been listening to Volusia Sheriff Mike Chitwood give us an update on that deadly situation and horrific situation that happened at Daytona Beach Shores yesterday, saying that they're going after vehicular manslaughter charges. But the important thing to note here, Ashley, is that Tammy Jo Baker was in that booth on her job for just 35 seconds yesterday.
That was probably one of the most shocking details that came out of the news conference today. And also there seemed to be a discrepancy with the timeline. Yesterday, Mike Chitwood had said the incident happened around 1:30. It seems as though things were happening around between 12 and 12:30.
Before 1 o'clock. Before 1 o'clock, that's for sure. And of course, as we get more information, we're listening in on this press conference. We dipped away because there was profanity being used, and we can't have that on the air. But we will bring you the very latest, and we'll continue to stream this on clickorlando.com. But News 6 at 3 o'clock. We'll be right back. Well, changes to property tax rules in Florida are moving forward in Tallahassee.
And your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, joining us now. You've been following the action in the state capitol all day. What's the latest?
Yeah, so important thing to note, this is not done yet because it's a constitutional amendment, still needs to be voted on by the voters, but this was a significant step. The state Senate and House approving Governor Ron DeSantis's sweeping tax measure. This would amount to a significant property tax for a lot of Floridians because basically it would raise the homestead exemption from $50,000 where it is right now to $150,000. That would take effect in 2027. Then 2028, it would raise that exemption to $250,000. The idea is to eventually just eliminate all property taxes for homestead owners, but the legislature would still have to create a schedule. But this is a debate that has been years in the making. We know that Governor Ron DeSantis and Blazing Goley and other state leaders have been stumping communities across the state, pushing for property tax relief, saying that local governments were spending too much and that they could afford to lose out on that property tax revenue. But local governments, cities and counties, like I was in Seminole County yesterday,
The Oviedo Police Department also complaining about it.
Because property tax revenue, as we've said time and time again, fund critical core services, police, fire. Important to note, one thing that was changed here, schools are protected here. Because under Governor Ron DeSantis' proposal, it would not have exempted schools from the property tax reductions. The legislature looked at that and said, we have to protect schools. But everything else could be in jeopardy, according to city and county governments.
That's what people are worried about, especially local governments, because this is the money they use to do all of those critical and important things. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Where is that money going to come from?
Yeah, well, so there was a trust fund that part of this proposal, Governor Ron DeSantis said that would be created. That was actually taken out of this proposal because a Republican who offered an amendment said, well, we don't have like a funding source for this. So there was going to be a trust fund where cities and counties would basically go hat in hand to state government, to Tallahassee, and say, hey, can we have these grant funds to pay for this? But again, November, this will be on the ballot. 60% of voters need to vote for in order for this to pass.
It gets a lot of attention anytime people talk about it, and it's just like, okay, how are we going to make it really, really happen?
Yep, and that's why we're following it every day.
All right,
Stay tuned. Thank you, Mike. Well, a huge AI company could reach a real big milestone when they go public.
Yeah, and plus, one company that's looking to raise a lot of money to stay competitive in the AI space.
I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez. Google's parent company is looking to raise money to help fund some new changes with AI, while a company focused on AI has filed to go public. So let's get over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. This debut, it could be huge.
It really could, Lauren. AI startup Anthropic has filed to go public in what could be a $1 trillion debut. The maker of the Claude chatbot hasn't disclosed how many shares it plans to sell or at what price. Anthropic was valued in a recent funding round at about $965 billion. An IPO could come as early as this fall. The move would put Anthropic ahead of OpenAI in the race to public markets. Critics, however, are questioning whether AI funding is outpacing real-world demand. Lauren, investors have been waiting for a major AI IPO, and Anthropic could be one of the biggest that we've seen in years.
Well, we are all about artificial intelligence this morning. Google's parent company, Maribel, also wants to dive into AI.
You know, it's planning to raise up to $80 billion through stock sales to help fund its AI ambitions. The company has significantly ramped up spending as it races to keep pace with rivals. You know, last month it boosted its capital spending forecast for the year by another $5 billion. Analysts estimate that AI investment across the tech sector could top $1 trillion next year, Lauren.
My goodness, I can't even imagine that kind of money, but I know they need it in order to make sure that they can stay afloat. All right, thank you so much. Remember, for the latest money and consumer news anytime, you can head to our website, clickorlando.com.
It'll be interesting to learn how many shares will be offered by Anthropic and at which price.
I think a lot. For both those answers, a lot of shares and a big price. All right, still to come. More officials at Central Florida's largest school district say things stand after this school year.
And ahead at 4, here's what we're working on. Another chapter in a controversial historic property today. The update we're expecting to get on the old Hungerford School property in Eatonville.
Coming up in the morning, going right into the eye of the storm, we'll take you up close on the new high-tech use to forecast hurricanes.
Plus, making ends meet, the local county offering help if your home needs repairs.
Join us for News 6 Morning, starting at 5.
Welcome back to News 6 at 3. I'm News 6's Ashley Garrett.
And I'm Ginger Gatson. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, well, you know, summer break is just getting underway for students across Central Florida, but the real work is getting ready to begin for teachers and school leaders. They're looking back over the last year and looking forward to the next year.
Yeah, it seems like they obviously just got through with this year, but your Orange County community correspondent, Tylisa Hampton, come on over. She's been listening and following the state of the schools today. What can you tell us about what they have planned?
All right, so there was a lot of challenges that we saw this year. They addressed those. The biggest one, closing the 7 schools, but also hundreds of cuts just down the line from the district level and even to the school level. And they discussed that. They said, of course, that was hard, that was difficult, but majority of those had to come with because of those decline in low enrollment. They said some of the reasons was because of decline in birth rate, also just setting trends, like a lot of parents having school choice, which a lot of parents are going away from Orange County public schools. They say they're doing their best to try to get them to come back. However, that has been challenging, which is why they really need the 1 meal property tax for next November for this November on the ballot. They say they need that money because they got the budget back. Those numbers are not helping too much. This is what they have to say.
If our tax base shrinks substantially, it would have massive, I repeat, massive long-term impacts on our schools and our teachers.
And we know the question on many people's mind is what is going to happen next school year. So they said if they do not have enough money, if they look at the numbers, the continuation of consolidation, school closures, that could possibly continue along with job cuts on the district level. And they say, again, they're trying to do everything they can.
Yeah, we know that the numbers have changed, too, from the beginning when they said that there was a certain numbers, like 3,000 or something, and it more than doubled, and that was a big blow.
And even speaking of the 3,000, they say next school year they're expecting 3,000 fewer students. To put that on a dollar amount, that's $27 million gone.
That is incredible, because how did they make up for that? And I'm sure that's what they're trying to figure out right now.
And that's where that 1 meal property tax comes in.
Yeah, and but for those schools that are closed, the families are so devastated because there's like a history there. Like their other kids went to that school. They sometimes went to that school.
And I feel like we've been hearing those stories on News 6 for, what, a year now, a long time.
All right. Well, we know you'll stay on top of it, and you'll have more of that reporting coming up later on.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tylisa.
Thank you.
All right. Edgewater could soon be the latest local city to allow chickens in their backyards. I love the sound of this. At last check, at least 9 cities and 4 counties in Central Florida allow you to have backyard birds. That's if you follow the rules.
That's the if, right? Edgewater City Council, they took a first vote to, let's say, join the flock last night, and they wanted to hear the concerns of the city first, and I listened into the meeting.
I get probably at least 5 or 6 messages a year saying, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to have chickens. So
Monday, Edgewater Police Chief Charles Geiger updated the city council as they weigh in on backyard chickens. He says several families already own them, but now it's time to regulate when and how they are kept.
Would be issued a notice of violation. With that, your permit would be suspended until it's fixed, and you would have to reapply. So there are a lot of safeguards in place with it.
Part of it includes only female chickens be allowed as household pets and for personal egg harvesting. No commercial use of any kind, and no roosters.
Chickens crow too. I mean, not just the roosters, the chickens do too, and they're very loud.
But Chief Geiger says he hears more complaints on chicken coop poop and less complaints about chicken noise.
We have 48-unit complex, and we don't want to look like Key West, have a bunch of roosters.
5 hens would be allowed on lots less than a half acre. 7 hens would be allowed on lots a half acre or larger. Monday was just the first reading of the ordinance. Council voted and passed unanimously. A second reading will come at a later date.
I mean, I think if the chickens behave and if people follow the rules, it'll be a great thing, because I don't know if you recall, were egg prices were astronomical. Like it was like $1, $1.50 for 1 egg when you would go to the grocery store.
So having backyard chickens in that case would definitely come in handy. There were some folks complaining about noise complaints, but the chief of police for Edgewater was saying that they're getting more complaints about lack of upkeep with the backyard chickens compared to the noise complaints. But you know, it's just a toss-up of where people stand with this issue. Again, there's going to be a second reading coming up at a later date, and we'll be following up with that in Edgewater.
All right, Ashley.
So we do turn to a devastating story, though. Next week is actually going to mark 10 years since the Deadly Pulse massacre that claimed the lives of 49 people. 49 lives gone too soon.
Yeah, and it's a story we certainly will never forget here in Central Florida. The biggest part of the healing process, though, is how do you remember all of those people and make sure that it is and they are never forgotten? That includes preserving some of what was left in that nightclub on that devastating night 10 years ago. News 6 anchor Lisa Bell joins us now live. Lisa, you got a chance to actually see some of those precious items. Tell us what it was like actually seeing that as someone who was here on the ground when that happened.
Yeah. You know, this has been obviously a decade now since there was absolute tragedy that struck here. We are at the site of the Pulse nightclub. Back in March, this building was demolished. Prior to that, though, in December, those artifacts that really had been sitting here for almost 10 years were carefully removed from this building. We're talking about some pretty iconic things like the sign that was outside the Pulse nightclub, as well as the chandelier that was above the dance floor, and the bar top that was inside, as well as posters that had all just been sitting inside this building for nearly 10 years. Since the city of Orlando purchased this site back in 2023 and started the process once again to finally build a permanent Pulse Memorial, they started to remove those items, cleared this site, but they wanted to let everyone know that those items are being carefully preserved and stored, and some of them will be included in the permanent memorial once that is completed, hopefully by the end of 2027. So we went inside that warehouse. It is at an undisclosed location to get a look at some of those items, and I have to tell you, most of them were still in those crates where they have been carefully packaged, specifically the sign and that chandelier that I mentioned, as well as the door that led into Pulse and the bar top. There were also other mementos that the city of Orlando had received that had been sent directly to City Hall in the days, weeks, and months after this tragedy here from all over the world. We saw some condolences sent by Prince William and Princess Kate, as well as a letter from leadership in Sydney, Australia, and just around the world, people sending their heartfelt messages to the community. Those are also being stored at that warehouse, and the design phase is now 60% complete for the permanent Pulse Memorial, but some of those artifacts will eventually be on display, specifically in the visitor center. I actually sat down with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer just a couple days ago, and he was telling me about how they plan to incorporate some of those mementos into the visitor center to really tell the timeline about what happened on that horrible night nearly 10 years ago. And so we're going to have much more on that coming up on News 6 at 4 and News 6 at 5. But again, I think they just wanted to reassure the community that all of these items are still there. They are being preserved. They are carefully preserved in an air-conditioned warehouse, and eventually they will be on display here at the permanent Pulse Memorial. Back to you guys.
Just one of the many ways those 49 lives lost are being honored. And Lisa, we could tell that you were overcome with emotion just looking at some of those artifacts as well.
Yeah, it's a nice way because, you know, you drive past that area and you miss that iconic sign, and now knowing that it's inside being preserved.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still an emotional spot for so many people, even though they demolished this building back in March and put up this purple barrier, this purple fencing around it as they continue to prepare this site. People are still coming by here and leaving mementos and remembrances to those 49 people who lost their lives. So it's obviously an ongoing process as we mark 10 years since that tragedy, and the process will continue for years and years to come.
All right, Lisa, we'll look forward to your other reporting in later newscasts. Thank you.
Well, here's what else is coming up. You know, folks are always trying to take advantage of your hard-earned money, those who are risky, right? But now some folks are steeping to a new low.
This shady.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually coming from Bradenton. Police are putting out a new scam warning targeting grieving families. Apparently, crooks are looking at obituaries and contacting families of loved ones who died, claiming to be from funeral homes, saying if they don't pay more money right away, they're going to cancel the funeral. How awful is this? As with any scam, you're urged to hang up right away, not pay up, and call police. Now, also keep this in mind. If it feels fishy, it is best to hang up and call the business's verified number.
That is awful. You're taking advantage of people in their most vulnerable times. All right, and speaking of if something smells fishy, Ashley, Great segue. A teen is
Right.
facing a felony charge on the other side of the state for a pretty smelly case of vandalism here, and I do mean smelly. St. Petersburg police say they caught an 18-year-old on camera throwing eggs with cans of sardines.
Oh, wow.
And
What a
also,
combo.
and just for an added little touch, black hair dye at some homes and cars parked in the driveway over the weekend. Investigators said he did more than $1,000 in damage, which is why he's being charged with a felony. And the homeowners tried to clean it up with a power washer, but they say they could not get that mess out. And by mess, I mean that smell, because
my
it is
goodness.
just sticking onto whatever he dumped it on.
That is
That's
just an
awful.
story too. Well, here's what's not awful. I know a lot of people want to know what's going on with the sloths, and we're happy to report we do have a good news update today. So the Central Florida Zoo posted these photos that you see on your screen of Phantom. So cute. The zoo says Phantom has joined Dolce and Chewy as being considered clear of ICU care. So this means they haven't required consistent medical intervention for close to a week's time, and the zoo is continuing to keep a close eye on all the sloths even after they leave the ICU.
Look at those sweet, precious little faces. So cute. Well, we're pulling for you, Phantom.
Most definitely.
All right. Well, no one likes mosquitoes, let me tell you that. But if the solution to the pesky bugs, do you think the solution to getting rid of mosquitoes could be actually having more mosquitoes? It sounds crazy, right? It doesn't
does.
add up. Okay. So Google's debug program is seeking federal approval to release up to 32 million non-biting mosquitoes in Florida and California. The bugs carry a naturally occurring bacterium that prevents them from producing offspring with wild females. And wild doesn't mean they're loose. It just means they're flying in the wild.
Gotcha.
Only males are released. They wouldn't bite or spread disease, which experts hope would decrease the population of disease-carrying mosquitoes over time. The EPA is reviewing the permit request. And it only takes a tiny bit of water, a capful of water, to produce a bunch of mosquitoes. They just love it.
I just see a whole lot of swatting, regardless, whether
Yeah,
they bite or not. Just a
I
whole
know.
lot.
I'm just itchy talking about that
Literally.
story.
Well, we'll be getting a check of the forecast with meteorologist Julie Broughton after the break.
Okay, and we're now officially into day 2 of hurricane season. We're looking at some of the new technologies helping our weather team give you a more accurate forecast.
Your Tuesday evening traffic alert. You see those lane closures southbound along the Florida Turnpike. As you approach the Hancock area over towards the Montverde, fairly routine. And then, of course, I-4 east and westbound between 528 and Turnpike. We've been seeing some heavy construction along Lee Road overnight between Edgewater and, of course, the I-4 area. Lane closures in both directions, high pedestrian area, so make sure you're paying attention. And then, of course, the express lane work in downtown Orlando. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Bill Ray Nissan Longwood. We do it the right way.
All right, welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. Look at our Daytona Beach cam. It is beautiful out there. I'm joined now live in studio with meteorologist Julie Broughton. Julie, not a bad day. Today was our last weather-aware day, right?
Right, and we're still waiting for those showers and storms to come. Some of those starting to pop a little bit on our sea breeze. So again, today is a weather-aware day into the evening hours. We're watching a cold front that's dropping south, and that will bring with it showers and some thunderstorms. We could see some isolated strong storms, and along with that, some gusty winds, some lightning, and we could see some flooding in some low-lying areas as that front moves through. Now, that will all clear out by early tomorrow. In fact, we've seen a pretty decent day so far, but it is on the steamy side out there. Look at that. We are at 94 right now. This is our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera. Now, the dew point is actually pretty low this time of year, so it's not quite as humid as you might think for this time of year. So here's what it feels like, although it feels like 90s, or it's 97 right now in Titusville, 94 in Kissimmee, 92 in Claremont. Here's how it will feel. Some spots are closing in on feeling like 100, but in Orlando feeling like 95, feeling like 98 if you're in the Villages. So not exactly a pleasant feeling afternoon, but we do have some pleasant weather on the way behind those showers and storms. Again, we are at a level 1 risk for the potential of some gusty winds as well as a lot of lightning today. Here's the setup for us. We'll start you out with a wider look out. This is the water vapor imagery. You can see some of that tropical moisture still flowing over from the Gulf. We have a front that has now made its way into North Florida, and as that front moves in, that will interact with our sea breezes and help to spark some of those showers. Radar actually has been pretty quiet so far today. You can see that little thin line in Brevard County. That is our sea breeze setting up. So as we move through the next couple of hours, we'll really start to see some of those showers popping. Clouds and rain forecast showing all of that continues dropping off to the south for us. And again, we get that front through here early tomorrow. So we may see a few showers overnight, a few showers first thing tomorrow morning. But then look at that. Tomorrow we see a high only in the low 80s. Will be much more comfortable for us as we head toward the end of the week. Low to mid 80s before we climb back up near 90 by the end of the weekend and into next week.
Oh, that sounds really
Isn't
nice.
it
Those
lovely?
low 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And we can track all of that going on right now, right?
That's right. And you can get that beautiful picture of Candace. Just download our free News 6 weather app, search WKMG in your app store.
I've downloaded it several times. All right,
Keep it.
we all know that hurricane season is here. It's the second official day of hurricane season. And the forecasts have never been smarter. We're now able to use AI to sharpen the cone and pinpoint jumps in strength days in advance. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos shows us how cutting-edge tech and human judgment are coming together to keep your family safe.
All right, let's talk about Hurricane Melissa. Still a powerful Category 5 hurricane. Preparations hopefully have been completed all across the island of Jamaica. You saw that accuracy in action during last year's hurricane season with Melissa, where forecasters made an aggressive call nearly 3 days out, predicting Melissa to rapidly intensify from Cat 1 to a 5, making landfall in Jamaica. And it's better data that is driving those better forecasts. Data from places we've never been able to measure before, like uncrewed aircrafts flying deeper and lower into the mainframe of the storms. I sat down with Michael Brennan, the director of the National Hurricane Center.
These small UASs that they launch actually out of the NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft, and they kind of control them from on board the bigger plane. So it's really interesting. But they can fly down near the ocean surface within just a few feet of the ocean surface, where you can't take a crewed aircraft. It's not safe to fly down that far.
Technology is also expanding outside of the storm.
There's always new tools coming on board. We're testing out data from new satellites. NOAA has new aircraft that'll be coming online later this year, a new high altitude jet that'll help us, to gather data around and ahead of the storm. It's going to give us some additional capability there as well.
And in 2025, artificial intelligence made its big debut in hurricane modeling, now ranking as one of the most accurate in the field.
The AI models are another part of that toolbox. And they, again, making those aggressive intensity forecasts is all about the confidence. Do you see consistent signals over multiple forecast cycles from multiple different types of models? And if they're all pointing in the same direction, that's going to help us be more confident to make those more aggressive forecasts.
But even with all that technology, the final forecast still comes down to the people.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that, and there's a lot of care and a lot of thought and consideration that goes into every aspect of that forecast.
Yeah, there's so many great and fantastic changes. You can find all of our hurricane season coverage right now on clickorlando.com/hurricane.
Well, we got a real interesting story right now. A guy probably hasn't heard the end of it after family game night last night. Take a look at this.
Perfectly flipped. Now a fly ball to right field. That's well struck. Deep toward the wall. It is up, and I believe that hit the top.
And it is up and over, and I'm assuming a Tiger fan, Dwayne, because it's a Detroit t-shirt. Fumbled it away. It's well struck.
That's awful.
Yeah, I hate to see it. So during last night's back and forth slugfest in the Trop, a Tigers player hit a home run, and it just escaped the hands, you see it right there, of a Tigers fan. Oh, man. Detroit ended up beating Tampa Bay, though, 10-9 in this game.
That's terrible. His feelings
So
are
close.
hurt. His feelings are definitely hurt today. All right. Well, a great show of athleticism did more than just keep a team in a baseball game. So check this out.
Goes after this one. Lifts it to left field. Siri tracking it back towards the wall. It's by the pole, and Siri got it.
Great save, right? Oh, so in Sunday's Tampa Bay Rays Los Angeles game, Angels outfielder robs a grand slam from the Rays shortstop Taylor Walls. But maybe more importantly, he also saved a buffet table, Ashley.
Did he?
That was right on the other side of that wall.
Oh, wow.
It was in that baseball's path. I hope we show it because, I mean, he snatched it right before he was going to slam into all that food. The Rays ended up getting the win.
There it is
oh,
right there.
my gosh.
That's
Can
a
you-
nice spread, too. I feel
Yes.
like I see some wings.
The Rays ended up getting the win, beating the Angels 5-2 in that game. But the real winners were the people who were using that buffet.
Absolutely.
All right, after the break, the Popular Bank that is making a big change to the legal rights of some of its customers. We're going to talk about it when we come back.
Heads up, Bank of America customers. There's a major change now in effect for how your bank handles future disputes. Starting May 18th, Bank of America's new online banking agreement adds a mandatory arbitration clause for many of its customers. That means if a customer has a future dispute related to online or mobile banking, the bank can require the case to be handled through private arbitration instead of the traditional court system. Under the new policy, customers generally give up the right to sue in court, have a jury trial, or participate in a class action lawsuit. And unless customers actively opt out, enrollment is automatic. Supporters of arbitration say it can be faster and less expensive than litigation. Consumer advocates, however, say arbitration can make it harder for customers to band together over relatively small fees, like overdraft charges, ATM fees, or other banking disputes.
And with arbitration, when you waive that class action, it's really up to every individual to recognize that they've suffered a particular harm in their consumer agreement and then to take on an individual remedy.
The move marks a return to arbitration for Bank of America, which stepped away from many arbitration clauses more than a decade ago after a series of legal challenges and industry scrutiny. Bank of America says customers can opt out within 60 days of receiving notice of the new policy. Customers can do that online through the bank's arbitration opt-out page or by calling 1-800-238-8875. For a deeper dive into the history of forced arbitration, how the rules have changed, and the phone number and link to Bank of America's opt-out agreement, head on over to clickorlando.com/dollars and cents. For Dollars and Cents, I'm Donovan Myrie.
So much to keep up with. I mean,
sure.
you know, but just go to the website and you'll figure it out. All right, we are working on News 6 at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, this just in. A community unable to vote for the leaders in their homeowners association 2 years in a row. News 6's Mike DeForest all over this story. He's going to explain why the HOA election just keeps getting postponed.
Because at the end of the day, this investigation is about one thing. It's about making sure that Tammy Jo Baker gets justice.
The Volusia Sheriff just wrapped up a press conference detailing the moments before they say a woman crashed through a beach access toll booth, killing the worker inside.
We're following breaking news this afternoon. The Florida legislature passes a sweeping property tax measure. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti, and now that measure needs to be voted on by you.
I'm meteorologist Julie Broughton on this Weather Aware Day, when we can expect to see showers and thunderstorms in minutes.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
And we are staying on top of breaking news this afternoon. A sweeping tax cut for property owners is heading to the November ballot. Both the Florida House and Senate passed the new property tax proposal just a few hours ago. So we'll explain what this all means for you in just a few moments coming up. But we begin with breaking details about a horrific crash on the beach. This video just into our newsroom just moments ago as a driver crashes through a beach toll access, killing the worker inside that booth before that truck headed into the ocean.
Well, we told you about the crash at the Dunlawton Beach Approach in Daytona Beach Shores yesterday at 4. And your Volusia County community correspondent, Molly Reed, just heard from the sheriff. Molly, we know he was very angry during his news conference.
He was. The sheriff says that he sees the comments. He hears from the people wanting to know why this woman is not facing charges yet. And he had to put the reminder out that these investigations for vehicular homicide, as far as traffic investigations, take a long time. He really wanted to stress that today. He walked us through the timeline of what they know happened so far. He says just minutes before this crash happened, they actually got several 911 calls reporting a drunk driver in the area. Then that surveillance video shows the black pickup truck speeding down the beach ramp and taking out the toll booth. The attendant, Tammy Jo Baker, had just gone inside the booth and the sheriff says was killed on impact. He says the truck's driver, Deanna Harrell, kept driving down the beach but eventually got stuck in the sand. Body camera video then from deputies we just got shows the lifeguards attempting to help Baker, then show them getting to Harrell, who they say reeked of alcohol.
I think the thing to take away is you're here and you're gone. 35 seconds after our victim enters the booth, she's dead.
Now, the sheriff says, again, these traffic homicide cases take time. He says that they did go to the state attorney's office already with charges. The state attorney's office asked for more evidence. So right now they are working on getting a search warrant for the car, getting video from the bar that they know she was drinking at before this accident happened. And then they'll go back to the state attorney's office and present a case for vehicular homicide with no bond. He did say they had to Baker Act Harrell because of threats of self-harm when they were attempting to put her in handcuffs. So she is still in a psychiatric hold at this time. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Molly, we thank you so much. We know a vigil is actually growing to remember the toll booth worker, now identified as Tammy Jo Baker. Folks are bringing flowers right outside the Dunlawton Beach access ramp where that crash happened.
Yeah, Tammy Jo's birthday is in just a few weeks. Her family says she loved the beach, her family, and making them laugh. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez spoke to them.
My mom was good for saying the things, the most inappropriate things. Yeah. But it always made everybody laugh.
Tammy Jo Baker was a mom, a grandmother, and a soon-to-be great-grandmother.
She was always smiling. She was always happy.
Her family honoring her life right next to her favorite place.
She loved the beach.
She lived on the beach, so just working out here was probably a plus to it, you know.
Baker was working here at this beach access ramp in Daytona Beach Shores when a woman drove into the toll booth that Baker was inside before driving right into the water. Video of the moments after Baker was hit show the truck in the ocean. For her family, the pain is unbearable.
It's very shocking.
It's hard to hear, people just talking about it, and you don't even know that was my mom.
As they came together for a vigil, the mayor of Daytona Beach Shores stopped by and sent a message to those who visit the area.
Slow down. You have to know this is a driving beach, and please slow down.
As they prepare to say goodbye, Baker's family wants the world to know that the 63-year-old was the matriarch that kept them together, who loved to be silly, and who will be deeply missed.
Hotel California, and she was just singing it, and then all of a sudden she broke out in like a death metal voice. And like the whole place was like, what was that?
She was the glue of the family, so it's going to be hard to pick up those pieces.
In Daytona Beach Shores, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
All right, switching gears now. We're going to take you outside for a live look over downtown Orlando. This is from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You can expect to see some scattered storms this evening, though.
We are calling today another weather-aware day. So with that, we're going to hand things off to meteorologist Julie Broughton.
And we are already beginning to see some of those showers popping along our East Coast sea breeze, although it has been slow to start today. We're still under a level 1 risk of severe weather, so we're looking at the potential of a lot of lightning, and I think winds are a concern for us today. We could see at times winds gusting up to around 50 miles per hour, so we have a couple different factors going on. Here's a look at the radar, so you can see right here this line. This is our East Coast sea breeze that is set up, and we have a front to our north, so all of that will work together as we head through the next couple of hours for us to continue to see more showers and storms developing, some of those potentially becoming strong. Right now, we are seeing some heavy rain right on top of National Gardens, and as we loop the radar for you over the last hour, you can see that we are talking about showers generally moving off toward the south and east, pulling out a little bit wider for you again off to our north. That is where our front is. That is moving through the Jacksonville area. It hasn't managed to produce a whole lot of activity there just yet, but again, as we head into the evening hours, that's when we're looking at a little bit better chance of some of those showers. Now, I want you to look at the temperatures. These aren't feels like temperatures. This is the actual air temperature. 94 in Sanford, 93 in Orlando, and it is 92 in the Villages. When you factor in the relative humidity, we're talking about some spots feeling close to 100. We'll time out those showers and talk about what's behind this front coming up.
All right, Julie, thank you. Back now to our breaking news that a lot of you are talking about. You will get a chance to vote on a sweeping measure to cut property taxes. The Florida legislature voted today to send a proposal pushed by Governor Ron DeSantis to the November ballot. News 6's Mike Valenti has been monitoring the latest developments, and he joins us now live from the newsroom. Mike, this issue has sparked a lot of debate over the years.
Ginger, it really has. Proponents like the governor say this constitutional amendment would provide some meaningful relief to homeowners who have shouldered the burden of rising costs. But critics have argued this will blow a hole in the budgets of local governments, which rely on property tax revenue to fund critical services. Voters will now have several months to consider both sides of that debate. And come November, this only passes if it earns at least 60% support.
And I believe that we now ought to trust the people and let the people decide.
After hours of spirited debate, a supermajority in the House and Senate gave Governor Ron DeSantis' proposal the green light. Even some Democratic lawmakers approved it.
My people who have owned their home for 40 and 50 years and now retiring from their jobs are saying that they can't afford a property tax increase.
But I am voting for this bill because we're giving the voters this opportunity to make the best decision for them.
This proposal exempts the first $150,000 of a homestead property's value from taxation. In 2028, that goes up to $250,000. The legislature did make a few changes to the governor's proposal, though, including by protecting school funding from any property tax reductions. And they removed a provision that would have created a trust fund to help local communities backfill lost revenue. People who work in local government warn that with property taxes rolled back, core services could be in jeopardy. Concerns echoed by House Democrats Tuesday.
Is that this is not a tax break, this is a tax shift. And we tell the voters how much they might save, but we don't explain to them what they're going to lose. We are leaving a huge hole in our budget with this constitutional amendment.
So again, after passage, this goes now straight to the voters in November. And if approved, it would take effect January 1st, 2027. Also, if you happen to be curious about how the people who represent you voted today in Tallahassee, you can go to our website, clickorlando.com. We have a full vote breakdown there. Guys.
All right, Mike, thank you. Now to Volusia County, where we are working to learn more about the driver who led deputies on a chase this afternoon. The chase ended at the intersection of International Speedway and Tomoka Farms Road, that's in Daytona Beach. Here's a look at the scene after several deputies surrounded the area. The sheriff also showed up on scene. So far, we know the sheriff spotted the driver in a car that was reported stolen out of Port Orange. No word yet on what charges the driver will face.
Well, investigators say they arrested a daycare worker accused of hitting several kids. For those who don't know, Mustard Seed Kids is on Eber Boulevard in West Melbourne. According to the arrest report, after a tip from a parent, the school's director watched close to a week's worth of surveillance, and it showed Latasha Mullings, pictured on the right there, hitting 5 different students on 11 different occasions. We know the students range in age from 2 to 4 years old. The school director fired the worker and told parents about what happened. We know Mullings was arrested, and she is already bonded out of jail. On News 6 at 5, News 6's Catherine Silver is taking a closer look at that arrest report and what the school director says they saw when she looked through the surveillance video.
Investigators say the driver who ran over a 14-month-old will not be facing charges. It happened a little more than a week ago in Castleberry. A neighbor says a family member of Celine Kenji was backing out when it appears he did not see the toddler and hit her.
Well, today, crews began pumping concrete into the ground where a sinkhole damaged a road in Maitland. We know the hole opened up on Wymore Road last month, and since then, crews have been working on repairing it and making sure it's safe for drivers. Leaders say this phase of restoring the road could take several days, and once they're done with the concrete, Orange County can proceed with rebuilding about 150 feet of Wymore Road north of Hope Road. Now, they did not say when they expect the road to reopen. Blue Origin CEO is revealing when they will be able to fly again after last week's rocket explosion on the launch pad.
Yeah, what they're learning about the damage and what comes next.
Orange County Public Schools, we have seen this school year how they have struggled with low enrollment, but also a decline in their budget. Coming up, they gave a State of the Schools address to talk about where they're at now and also where they're headed in the future.
This portion of the news is sponsored by True Deals Realty.
Well, it's being called a landmark lawsuit against OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman. Florida's Attorney General is accusing them of hiding dangers, putting kids at risk, helping mass shooters, and encouraging self-harm.
Yeah, CBS's Jolynn Kent is following all of this and takes a closer look at the lawsuit.
Sam Altman and ChatGPT have chosen the AI race over the safety and security of our kids.
In a scathing statement on Monday, Florida's Attorney General accused OpenAI and its CEO of deceiving users.
People like Sam Altman should not be designing these products to be addictive, to go after kids, and to encourage them to do dangerous things.
The state has filed a civil lawsuit accusing Altman and OpenAI of ignoring warnings about the dangers of its prized product, ChatGPT, saying the company knew the chatbot was capable of advising users on how to commit dangerous acts. But according to the complaint, the company expedited the release of updates and allegedly disregarded safety testing. The suit alleges that ChatGPT has aided and abetted mass shooters, encouraged people to take their own lives, all while collecting data from young people with little parental oversight. The Florida Attorney General referenced numerous incidents, including a deadly shooting at Florida State University last year, where he alleges ChatGPT played a role in helping the suspect prepare for the crime. Although OpenAI is controlled by a nonprofit entity, its business operations are for-profit, and Wall Street analysts believe the company is preparing for one of the largest initial public offerings in history. But with the expected IPO comes even more scrutiny, says UCLA law professor Julia Powell.
The risks are not being managed, and it really deserves a kind of product pipeline where you have verification and proof of safety before these products are released in the wild.
In a statement, OpenAI says it's put in place industry-leading protections for young people and has given parents more tools to monitor their use. The company denies that ChatGPT was responsible for the deadly incident at FSU, saying it did not encourage the suspect to do what he allegedly did. Jolynn Kent, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And we're also working on this. The CEO of Blue Origin is giving an update on the rocket explosion that happened last week during a hot fire test on the launch pad.
Yeah, he says they will be able to fly again before the end of this year. Over the weekend, Blue Origin leaders said they regained some access to Launch Complex 36. Today, the CEO said the support tower is damaged, but they will be able to repair it in place instead of having to tear it down. The explosion last week could be a setback for Blue Origin's work with NASA in the Artemis program, though. The Artemis 3 mission, scheduled for sometime next year, plans to use a Blue Origin lunar lander. They all rely on the New Glenn rocket, the one that exploded, to get to space. Right now, the Space Force is hosting a virtual press conference to discuss what happened. We'll have an update for you on News 6 at 5 o'clock.
Well, now we have to get an update on that forecast. We are calling today a weather-aware day, tracking some showers across the area before that cool down later this week. Julie.
Yeah, that cool down is coming. It will actually be here by this time tomorrow. But between now and then, we have to get through the potential of some strong storms that are already beginning to develop. So we'll keep those storms around through the evening hours. This is all out ahead of a cold front. That front is moving into North Florida. And then behind that, we will see highs tomorrow only in the low 80s. And it will feel very comfortable with that drier air. Of course, today is day 2 of hurricane season, and we are all quiet in the tropics. Here's a look at the satellite and radar imagery from across the southeast. Again, here is our front, and this has been pushing to the south, not really creating a whole lot of activity throughout the Jacksonville area. We have a lot of instability in place here in central Florida, but without that front here just yet for the forcing mechanism, that's why things have been pretty quiet for us today. However, as that front moves in, that will provide the opportunity for some of those showers and storms. Water vapor imagery showing we have a decent amount of moisture in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere to help interact with that front as it moves through. Now, most of central Florida today ahead of this front is under a level 1 risk of some strong to severe storms. So we're looking at the potential of some gusty winds, some lightning, even some heavy rain as all of this moves through. We can't rule out an isolated rotating storm, but I don't think we're talking about widespread rotating storms. Here's a look at the radar for us. Again, just beginning to fire up in the last half hour or so. There is our East Coast sea breeze. You can see that green line. Flagler County down to Volusia County now seeing some of those showers firing along the Seabree, so right along I-95 from National Gardens down toward Ormond Beach. That's where you're seeing the heaviest activity right now. As we loop back over the last hour, you can see how those storms developed pretty quickly for us, and they are pushing generally off toward the south, pulling out a little bit wider for you again. And you can see most of us are dry, but as we take you through the next couple of hours, we'll really begin to see those showers and storms popping. Clouds and rain forecast taking you into the 5 o'clock hour, still along the East Coast sea breeze. I think that is primarily where we'll see some of those showers. Some heavy rain by 6, 7 o'clock along I-95. Then by 8 o'clock, as that front begins dropping a little bit closer into our area, we could see the potential of some of those stronger storms lingering until around 10, 11 o'clock. And then even though we'll see a few isolated showers overnight, I think most of the rain clears for us early tomorrow. Here's what it looks like for you right now in Daytona Beach. We have the red flag flying out there right now, sitting at 88 degrees with some showers developing. A lot of us in the 90s, 93 right now if you are in Claremont. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast featuring Zoe, who's wearing a denim vest and doing her impersonation of a squirrel, so we love that. 84 at 7 o'clock, still tracking some showers into the 8 o'clock hour. In fact, we'll continue to track showers and storms throughout the evening into the overnight hours. Again, we are all quiet in the tropics. 7-day forecast showing that cooler, drier air rolls in as we head into tomorrow, and then by the weekend, back up near 90.
Okay, that jean vest was adorable.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Julie. A big sale from an online platform is coming up in just a few weeks.
But you'll pay to catch those deals. Everything you need to know before hitting buy now during Amazon Prime Days. That's coming up.
I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez, a financial institution predicting FIFA World Cup winners. And Prime Days is around the corner. I'm so excited for this. Let's get over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. Prime Day, it's not just 24 hours. That's the best part.
It really isn't. Lauren, Amazon is expanding Prime Day to 4 days for the second straight year. The sale runs June 23rd through June 26th. Prime memberships cost $139, and you have to join to get the deals. Amazon says discounts will span categories including electronics, home goods, jewelry, and clothing. It adds that some price drops could happen minute by minute. Customers can save items to their Amazon wish list for possible notifications on price changes, but it's not guaranteed. The company also says shoppers will find discounts on everyday essentials, including groceries, as consumers continue to look for ways to really stretch their budgets. Lauren, I call it my paper towel, vitamins, and toilet paper holiday.
Oh, that's a good one. Just get the essentials, but save some money. I find that you've got to know what you want, because sometimes it'll look like a good deal. You go on another website, it's like $4 cheaper. So that's the trick. Goldman Sachs, Maribel, they've got some World Cup odds for us if we dare bet.
Well, apparently they've done the math when it comes to predicting FIFA World Cup winners, Lauren. The investment bank says it's analyzed nearly 20,000 matches dating back to 1978. Its model gives Spain the best odds, 26%, followed by France at 19% and Argentina at 14%. Goldman considered factors like historical team performance, scoring talent, and geography. It also sees the U.S. with a 39% chance of reaching the round of 16. Lauren, Goldman might have done the math, but if predicting sports or the markets were easy, we'd all be retired by now.
Thank you. Thank you, because I told you about my yacht yesterday. I'd be there on my island somewhere. All right. Maribel, thank you for the latest money and consumer news anytime. You know you can always head to our website, clickorlando.com.
And just take us with you when you get that yacht, girl. All right, so here's what we're working on now. Leaders with Orange County schools say more cuts could be coming.
Yeah, why they say November voters could decide what happens to your classrooms and teachers.
I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. We just toured the warehouse where artifacts from the Pulse nightclub, like the bar top and the door, are being stored and preserved as work towards the permanent memorial moves forward.
I'm Jada Manahall in Eatonville. The updates coming about Hungerford property here and what you need to know.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now.
Investigators have released new video of that deadly crash at Dunlawton Beach. Surveillance video shows a pickup truck speeding down the ramp and crashing through the booth Monday afternoon. The attendant in the booth, Tammy Jo Baker, died on impact just seconds after entering the booth to start her day. The driver is hospitalized on a mental health hold. A sweeping tax cut for property owners is heading to the November ballot. This afternoon, both the Florida House and Senate passed the new property tax cut proposal. Investigators say they arrested a daycare worker accused of hitting several kids. Mustard Seed Kids on Eber Boulevard in West Melbourne. It was caught on surveillance video. The students range in age from 2 to 4 years old.
Well, it's been a year of some tough choices for Orange County Public Schools. 7 schools just permanently closed down last week. And this morning, school leaders addressed those issues. It happened during its State of the Schools address, and all while also looking ahead to what could be coming next. So your Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton joins us now from the newsroom with some of what the leaders have to say about those significant changes. Tylisa.
School leaders say they have had a loss of millions of dollars because of a decline in enrollment. And even next school year, they're projected to lose 3,000 students, which could result in a cut of $27 million. They say this is really described as an umbrella of transition this school year.
I am borderline alarmed at this point. I'm more concerned about the direction, not just where we are. Do we continue down this path?
It's been an unprecedented school year as Orange County Public Schools, the 4th largest district in the state, has faced one challenge after another, grappling with low enrollment and budget shortfalls.
We lost more than $23 million this fiscal year due to declining enrollment.
The impact causing the district to close 7 schools and cut hundreds of jobs.
She has just been there for me during my lowest moments, and I don't know what I would do without her, honestly.
During this year's State of Schools, the superintendent listed numerous factors for enrollment decline, like birth rates and housing trends.
We support school choice, but here is what we're asking for: equal rules and equal funding.
When looking ahead for the budget next school year, the superintendent says it is still not where they want it. Pushing for support for the 1 meal property tax on the November ballot, they say will help close the gap.
It's 10% of our budget. It's 2,000 teaching positions. It's huge.
They're also advocating to state legislators to hold firm on exempting schools from all changes to property taxes, a huge part of funding. If changes are not made, leaders say employee benefit plans involving health care could change, along with looking at the numbers for other consolidation and cuts.
We're going to have to make adjustments to the plan and to what employees pay. This will be hard.
And later on, hear how the district says they plan to bring back families as they transition with leadership. Reporting for News 6, I'm Tylisa Hampton.
And just like Orange County, Lake County could be the next to shut down schools because of declining enrollment. In just a few hours, we're learning the district will hold an open house to talk about this. We know the plan would be to close Oak Park Middle School in Leesburg and combine it with Carver Middle, which is about 3 miles away. Supporters say students would have more opportunities since the small enrollment at the schools limits the number of special programs that can be offered. Tonight's meeting is at 6 at Oak Park Middle. A second open house will be held on Thursday at Carver.
Well, it has been nearly 10 years since that mass shooting at Pulse nightclub, and a big part of the healing process is making sure that what happened is never forgotten.
And that includes preserving some of what was in the nightclub that night. And today, we actually got a chance to see how those items are being stored. News 6's Lisa Bell visited the warehouse, which is an undisclosed location. She joins us now live from Pulse. Lisa.
Yeah, we visited that warehouse for about 20 minutes this afternoon just to see how many items were being stored there, how they were being preserved, and get a glimpse of what exactly is taking place before this permanent memorial is built behind me. We are at the original site of the Pulse nightclub right now. We saw things like the chandelier and the bar top, as well as the Pulse sign, all being stored securely at that warehouse to be preserved.
Crate after crate, this warehouse is full of artifacts, all removed from the Pulse nightclub and marking part of the progress toward a permanent Pulse memorial. I recently sat down with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and asked him about the plans for these items.
Some of the items will be in the visitor center,
but the visitor center is pretty small, so it's not like it's going to be a museum display or anything, but there will be the ability to tell the story in the visitor center, so there might be some items that are in there.
It comes as the city just announced the design phase for the visitor center, and the entire Pulse Memorial is now 60% complete. You may remember back in December, one by one, each crate was carefully packed and removed, giving a glimpse into what was inside the Pulse nightclub.
Some smaller items like a cash register, some posters, and some promotional flyers that were found in the building.
It's a process the facilities division manager told us at the time they wanted to handle with sensitivity at such a solemn site.
All of the items are in custom-made crates. They're also packed with archival-grade materials.
The Pulse nightclub had been largely untouched in the nearly 10 years since a gunman shot and killed 49 people and wounded more than 50 others.
I know someone very close to me who said they would have been here during the shooting had something else not happened.
The pictures, the tributes, the flashes of so many stories, still overwhelming for so many people.
I just got so emotional. Tears were rolling down.
So again, back out here live, you can see this purple fencing where the Pulse nightclub once stood. The building was actually demolished back in March. As they continue to move forward, building that permanent Pulse Memorial, construction is expected to begin this fall and hopefully completed by the end of 2027. Back to you guys.
Lisa, we thank you so much. Well, a vacant piece of land in Eatonville has been at the center of years of debate, lawsuits, and political infighting. The 117-acre Hungerford property was once home to a historic black school, and many people see it as a key part of the town's identity and future. So tonight, town leaders are expected to hear an update from Dr. Phillips Charities on redevelopment plans for the site. News 6's Eatonville community correspondent Jana Manahalal explains why the future of this property matters.
When you're driving through the town of Eatonville, whether it's the left or the right side of the road, it's kind of hard to miss this massive empty lot right behind me. This is the Hungerford property. It's 117 acres of land that used to be part of the Hungerford School. For years, this empty stretch of land has sparked some of the biggest debates in Eatonville. That's why the future of this land has been the focus of years of meetings, disagreements, and public debate here in Eatonville. But let me explain why this is important. Last year, the Orange County School Board approved a plan to sell the property to Dr. Phillips Charities, despite objections from some members of the Eatonville Town Council. Dr. Phillips Charities has an entire subsection on their website detailing their dedication to the property. Dr. Phillips Charities says on their website their goal is to promote livability, more local businesses, and cultural tourism. But some of the residents I spoke with who did not want to go on camera said they would like to see the town have more control of what happens to the property. That's why tonight's workshop matters. Town leaders are expected to hear updates on redevelopment plans and what progress has been made since the sale was approved. I have reached out to Dr. Phillips Charities to see what updates they plan to give the town of Eatonville and whether or not they've had the chance to actually come down and speak to the residents about what they want. I've also reached out to the town of Eatonville just to see if they have any expectations of what they want the property to turn into. Dr. Phillips Charities did respond to me, only saying that they look forward to attending tonight's workshop and sharing an update with the community at that time. That workshop is on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. and we'll continue to keep you updated. For now, in Eatonville, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
We now know what will be going in place of an 84-year-old hospital that shut down last year in Rockledge. Today, Orlando Health announced plans to build a 40-acre campus in Viera. It will be located in Burroughs West between Lake Andrew Drive and I-95, just south of the Viera Boulevard in Brevard County. That's about 12 miles away from the former Rockledge Hospital. Leaders are expected to break ground on the new 7-story hospital this month. The emergency department is set to open in fall of next year. Last year, Orlando Health shut down the Rockledge hospitals. Leaders said the conditions were too dangerous to remain open. Pictures showed mold underneath the emergency room, corroded sewer lines, temporary air conditioning, and other structural damage. When the hospital shut down, many people living in the area were pretty concerned about access to health care.
In Flagler County now, leaders in Palm Coast are set to vote on an agreement that would help ease some big staffing shortages in the Flagler Beach Fire Department. Now, we've been following this story for weeks. The Flagler Beach Fire Department has been struggling since half the staff resigned from what they called a hostile work environment. We know the plan calls for sending some Palm Coast firefighters about 8 miles away to assist. And if it's approved, the extra help would be in place for close to a month. This evening's meeting gets underway at 6 tonight. And backyard chickens making headlines. They may be coming to another Central Florida city, but police say complaints are already coming in.
Yeah, but believe it or not, the biggest issue isn't what you actually think. We'll explain why coming up.
For 2 years in a row, people living in this neighborhood here have been unable to vote on the leaders of their homeowners association. Coming up, I'll explain why that HOA election keeps getting postponed.
Here's a live look from our Daytona Beach sky cam. You can see dark clouds as some showers and thunderstorms develop. We'll time them out and tell you what's behind those storms coming up.
And as we head to break, there's more to watch on News 6 Plus. Get caught up in Central Florida's news and weather at a time that works for you, 9 o'clock every night. Or go on patrol with Trooper Steve. Get clear on Florida politics and celebrate the best of Central Florida with the News 6 Insiders. You can watch it all now. Just get the News 6 app loaded on your smart TV. You can download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Original Mattress Factory.
News 6 recently broke the story about this attorney who went to war against his homeowners association. The lawyer's been locked up in jail since March for contempt of court. Now a different legal fight is playing out in this same Orange County neighborhood. One by one, people arrive at this community clubhouse for the annual meeting of the North Shore at Lake Hart Homeowners Association.
I love where I live, but we need to have an election.
Normally, this annual meeting is when homeowners can vote on new HOA board members. But for 2 years in a row now, the HOA has, quote, postponed its elections, leaving the same board members in place.
It pits one neighbor against another.
Why can't these homeowners vote?
It's created a hostile environment.
I'll explain in a moment. Dozens of homeowners have shown up at this meeting despite the HOA publishing this notice stating the election of directors has been deferred to a future date. The HOA's annual meeting is underway right now inside the clubhouse there. Only residents are allowed to attend. That's why I'm outside. Instead, I'm watching it here on this Zoom feed.
We all want to see this thing move forward.
As many expected, the meeting quickly adjourned with no promises of when the next HOA election might occur.
This community has kind of lost its spirit.
So how did this happen? Well, a few years ago, one of the homeowners here filed a petition with the state raising concerns about how HOA elections were being run. A state arbitrator eventually concluded that because of the history of the association's improper conduct of elections and board meetings, a new election must take place. A judge later upheld this binding arbitration, but the HOA appealed it, arguing the arbitrator exceeded his power and authority in ordering a new 5-seat election. Until the appeals court rules on this dispute, the HOA says it will be postponing elections, meaning the current board will remain in place.
You're dodging my question.
We need to have reforms in this state when it comes to how homeowners are represented and how associations are run.
The homeowner who originally complained about elections here was Miriam Berthoff. Her husband is Bruce Berthoff, the attorney who's been jailed for more than 3 months now for contempt of court. I posted lots of information about his legal battle with this HOA on our website, clickorlando.com. Mike DeForest, News 6.
I tell you, those HOAs can be very tricky. Make sure you move into a neighborhood with a very good one.
Well said. Well, we're going to get a check of the forecast now. What can we expect at this point, Julie?
Well, we are starting to see some of those showers and storms that we talked about. Those are developing for us, and expect more as we move through the evening hours. Today is a weather aware day thanks to a cold front that is dropping to the south. That will bring us really nice weather, though, once we get through tonight. Now, here's a live look outside. This is our Daytona Beach sky cam, where we are seeing those clouds building and some heavier showers. We saw a lot of people clearing the beach a little bit earlier. 88 degrees right now in Daytona Beach with a thunderstorm at the official reporting station there in Daytona Beach. Right now, 93 in Claremont, 92 in the Villages, and Sanford. You are at 94 degrees. We'll see things clearing or cooling quickly as those showers move in. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast featuring Lizzie. And Lizzie is in her brand new home. She's a rescue, so she has her nice bed. She's watching News 6. We'll see rain chances going up to 60 to 70% as we head through the evening hours, 80 degrees by 8 o'clock. Now, here's a look at the radar. We were just looking outside in Daytona Beach, and this is what we were looking at. We can go in a little bit closer for you and see what we're talking about, where some very heavy rain and where you see that magenta, that's where we're talking about the potential even of a little bit of hail in there as all of this continues moving to the south. Now, we'll continue to see our East Coast sea breeze developing, and as that happens, that is going to bring us some more of those showers and storms. And first developing right along the sea breeze, which we've seen is already set up. So as we head into the 5 to 6 o'clock hour, areas like Cocoa down toward Melbourne, you could see some pockets of that heavier rain. Here comes our front. So the front and the sea breeze interacting, helping to provide more showers and storms as we head through 8, 9 o'clock. And we could see some isolated intense storms. We are under that level 1 risk of strong to severe storms throughout the evening hours. Then 10 o'clock, that front gets into our northern counties, still tracking some heavier showers potentially in areas like Osceola and Brevard County. The front rolls through our area overnight, and then behind that, that's when we'll see some drier air. So this is the water vapor imagery right now. We have a decent amount of moisture available in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, but watch what happens once we get that front to our south during the day tomorrow. Drier air builds in, so not only will it be cooler, it will actually feel really nice for us. Here's how that looks for you as we take you through the next 7 days. So for your Wednesday, we go to a high Look at this, 82 degrees. Now, mind you, we got up to 94 in Orlando today, and relative humidity will feel low tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, really days to get outside and enjoy it. 82 again on Thursday. By Friday, we go into the mid 80s. And then as we take you into the weekend, we'll see highs climbing closer to the normal range, which is 90 with a few isolated showers Saturday and Sunday. A little bit better chance of rain Monday and Tuesday with a high 90 on Monday and 89 on Tuesday. Overnight lows generally staying in the 60s over the next several days. And by the way, the tropics are quiet.
That is the best news of all. All right, thank you, Julie. Well, another Central Florida city could soon let you keep chickens in your backyard.
Indeed, what city leaders are discussing and the strict rules people would have to follow, that's coming up next. But right now I want to do this, show you a live look at Mount Dora. Got a little cloud cover from what I can see from my vantage point, but you are watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, going right into the eye of the storm. We'll take you up close on the new high-tech used to forecast hurricanes.
Plus, making ends meet, the local county offering help if your home needs repairs.
Join us for News 6 Morning, starting at 5.
Edgewater could soon be the latest local city to allow chickens in the backyard. Right now, at least 9 local cities and 4 counties do allow them.
Well, last night, Edgewater City Council took a first vote to join the flock, but first they wanted to hear from the city, and I was listening again.
I get probably at least 5 or 6 messages a year saying, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to have chickens. So
Monday, Edgewater Police Chief Charles Geiger updated the city council as they weigh in on backyard chickens. He says several families already own them, but now it's time to regulate when and how they are kept.
Would be issued a notice of violation. With that, your permit would be suspended until it's fixed and you would have to reapply. So there are a lot of safeguards in place with it.
Part of it includes only female chickens be allowed as household pets and for personal egg harvesting. No commercial use of any kind and no roosters.
Chickens crow too. I mean, not just the roosters, the chickens do too, and they're very loud.
But Chief Geiger says he hears more complaints on chicken coop poop and less complaints about chicken noise.
We have 48-unit complex, and we don't want to look like Key West, have a bunch of roosters.
5 hens would be allowed on lots less than a half acre. 7 hens would be allowed on lots a half acre or larger. Monday was just the first reading of the ordinance. Council voted and passed unanimously. A second reading will come at a later date.
All right, we'll have to see.
We will.
But it's always nice if they're not next to you, but you get the benefit of the eggs, but not the noise.
That's
what
only
everyone
right.
likes. All right, News 6 at 5 is up next.
An Orlando woman says she's out of thousands of dollars trying to keep coyotes out of her backyard, and it's not working. Coming up, why state wildlife officials say there's little they can do, and the frustrating discovery she made after building a brand new fence. Plus,
I'm Catherine Silver in West Melbourne, where we're learning a teacher trusted to watch kids at this preschool is now facing charges of child abuse. What we're learning from a newly released report.
well, your forecast is just minutes away, so don't forget you can stream all of your newscasts and live cameras. Right now is a live look at Daytona Beach. We got some cloud cover. We are tracking some storms. We're calling today a weather-aware day before that cool down makes its way across the area. Another reminder, don't forget you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus. We'll see you back here for News 6 at 5.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 5.
There's some phenomenal data that we collected.
Space experts giving an update on the explosion of Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket. We're live with what they're saying they learned from this huge blast. Plus, new videos showing the deadly moment a pickup truck tears through a beach toll booth. How investigators say the driver had already been reported as possibly drunk just minutes earlier. And a sweeping property tax cut plan is now headed straight to Florida voters this November. The major debate is sparking over what it could mean for your tax bill and the local services you rely on. Plus,
you know, they thought it was funny. They could have lost their lives. It's kind of scary to think about.
a local woman voicing her concern tonight, saying 2 teens with gel blaster guns could have sparked a deadly situation. The warning after victims say the teens opened fire from a moving car.
Well, just days after this scene at Cape Canaveral, this one right here behind me, space experts are giving an update on not only what went wrong, but what they are expected to learn from the test failure.
Yeah, the scene you're looking at is when Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket, that huge rocket, just exploded at Launch Complex 36. That happened during a static fire test last Thursday night. Now, the test is when the rocket's engines are ignited, but the rocket doesn't actually lift off. News 6's Troy Campbell joins us now live from Patrick Space Force Base. And Troy, what are leaders there saying right now about this anomaly?
Well, they're saying really they're in the beginning phases of a lot of that investigation, saying that just starting yesterday afternoon, they were actually able to get out there to actually reassess what it looks like out there. And again, officials saying thankfully no one was injured. We did just hear an update from officials at Patrick's. They did it via a Teams call without video. It was just audio, but nonetheless, we did listen in. And from what we heard of them is they did say that they did activate an emergency command center right away last Thursday following that explosion to make sure they had together all of those first responders. They also say they have found debris as far away as a half a mile from the launch pad. The damage also included smashed out windows at Hangar C. Fire officials say they cleared the site yesterday afternoon, so we're still in the first couple days where officials from both Patrick's and Blue Origin are being able to get on the ground to assess the damage on the launch pad. Right now, they say it's too early to determine if other facilities were damaged. Blue Origin said at the time, of course, none of their staff were harmed. Blue Origin says they have, since they've been back on the launch pad, they were able to determine multiple fuel tanks do appear to have withstood the force of the explosion. Today, Patrick's was also asked about how they're monitoring any environmental impacts from this explosion. Take a listen.
We have a restoration advisory board that takes soil sampling and water sampling and goes in, and if there is any identification of any toxics that are left in the ground or any toxics that are in the surrounding area, we have mitigation that comes in and mitigation procedures that we put in play with the Air Force Civil Engineering Center. The environmental tests that will be conducted, Blue Origin will take care of those in and around the area in accordance with all the activities that happen with Blue Origin, just like SpaceX does at their launch complexes and ULA does at their launch complexes.
And officials also said here today, despite setting up that hotline for people to report any debris that might wash up, they say no one called that number actually finding any. And of course, we do know first responders felt comfortable enough to allow 2 rockets to go up less than 24 hours after this explosion took place. Live along the Space Coast, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Show must go on, Troy. Thank you. Well, to another major update now. Florida voters will decide this November whether to approve a major property tax plan that could reduce homestead taxes statewide. The Florida legislature today approved a constitutional amendment pushed by Governor Ron DeSantis that would exempt the first $150,000 of a home's value from property taxes. Now, this would increase to $250,000 by 2028. Supporters say it would deliver real relief to homeowners struggling with rising costs. But critics warn the plan could strain local budgets and impact essential services.
And I believe that we now ought to trust the people and let the people decide.
Today, lawmakers added language to protect school funding, though the measure now goes to the ballot and would need 60% voter approval to actually pass. If approved, the tax changes would take effect in January 2027.
over there.
All right, turning now to your weather, where a weak cold front moving towards central Florida will help trigger another round of strong to severe thunderstorms tonight.
And the radar is starting to get active, we understand. So with that, we hand things off to meteorologist Jonathan Kakis.
Yeah, guys, we're watching a couple of thunderstorms start to get going. This is right along the sea breeze here. And as we watch over the next couple of hours, we're likely going to see storms kind of fire up right along the Florida Turnpike tonight. So all this is sea breeze driven. We'll likely see this again expand over the next couple of hours. Lots of lightning hanging out over Daytona Beach, also around Palm Coast. These are drifting from north to south tonight. Again, as we'll watch the expansion of this over the next couple of hours. There is the cold front itself, a rare June cold front. We're actually going to get a little bit of relief from this as we move over to the next couple of days, really by Wednesday evening into your Thursday and Friday. That's going to push down gradually through the night as we watch those storms, the coverage of those storms increase. I'll show exactly what I'm talking about in the future radar coming up at about 5:17.
Well, new video just into our newsroom shows the moment a truck crashes through a beach toll booth. Take a look at this, killing the worker inside before driving into the ocean. We know the Volusia Sheriff's Office also just releasing body cam video of their first interactions with that driver.
Yeah, this happened yesterday afternoon at the Dunlawton Beach Approach in Daytona Beach Shores. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed just heard from the sheriff with new details in this case.
The Volusia Sheriff tells us that just minutes before this crash, they also got several 911 calls reporting a drunk driver in the area. He says they're now piecing together the evidence to present a vehicular homicide case for this.
And if that investigation takes 12 hours or a year, when we get all the facts together, working closely with the state attorney's office, we're going to bring justice.
Sheriff Mike Chitwood says they now know 35-year-old Deanna Harrell was drinking at a bar in Daytona Beach Shores Monday afternoon, then reported for drunk driving erratically.
Almost hit several cars. Ran into a mailbox. Ran into a trash can, making a U-turn in the middle of Peninsula.
Just minutes before this, he says these surveillance videos showed the black pickup truck speeding down the Dunlawton Beach ramp and taking out the toll booth with the attendant inside.
At 12:38, she kills our victim. What you're not going to see in here is that our victim, Tammy Jo Baker, enters that booth at 12:38:05. At 12:40, she's dead. At 12:39, EMTs are on location.
The sheriff says Harrell kept driving down the beach, but eventually got stuck in the sand.
I need an O2 tank right now.
Body camera video from deputies show the lifeguards attempting to help Baker, then show them getting to Harrell, who they say reeked of alcohol.
Hello.
Sheriff Chitwood says they had to place Harrell in a psychiatric hold via the Baker Act due to her threats of self-harm, but they are pursuing vehicular homicide charges against her.
35 seconds after our victim enters the booth, she's dead. And our job is to build a case to make sure that Tammy Jo and her family get justice.
Now, the sheriff says these cases take time, and the state attorney's office is actually asking for more evidence. He says right now they are working on getting a search warrant for the car, video from the bar where the truck driver was drinking before this crash, and then they will take it back to the state attorney's office and ask for those vehicular homicide charges and her to be held on no bond. We're told she is still in that psychiatric hold right now. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
New at 5, the truck driver accused of sparking a major I-4 shutdown with a false bomb threat has now learned his punishment. 49-year-old Kelvin Harp entered a no contest plea today in Seminole County Court to a charge of falsely reporting a deadly explosive or weapon. In April, several lanes of eastbound I-4 near Seminole Town Center were shut down during rush hour after investigators say Harp claimed there were bombs inside his semi-truck. Now, authorities later determined there were no explosives inside the truck. Today, a judge ordered Harp to serve 18 months of probation, complete anger management, and perform 50 hours of community service.
Well, a preschool teacher is facing charges after she was allegedly caught on camera striking, flicking, and throwing objects at kids as young as 2 years old. Police say it happened at Mustard Seed Kids in West Melbourne. Now, our Catherine Silver started looking into the case after learning about the arrest from our News 6 Neighborhood Network.
The arrest report says the alleged abuse was caught on the surveillance system here at Mustard Seed Kids. Detectives reviewed the video and said the teacher intentionally hit multiple students from ages 2 to 4 years old. 41-year-old Latasha Mullings was arrested after the director here at Mustard Seed Kids heard about the allegations from a parent and then reported it. We went inside the school Tuesday and spoke to that director off camera. I also called West Melbourne police, who told me the director did everything right. She gave them security video that detectives say captured Mullings intentionally striking 5 different students on 11 separate occasions. This is the arrest report that says Mullings is accused of flicking children in the face and throwing things at them. The report says the same day she struck a 3-year-old on the head with a metal stapler, she also threw a shoe at the child, grabbed their shirt, and yelled in their face. Detectives say the abuse happened in the classroom, only when no other adults were in the room. When we knocked on Mullings' door Tuesday, she answered. Yeah, how can I help you? And we asked about the accusations.
We just read through the report, we heard what happened, and we wanted to get your side of the story.
She told us she wants to talk, she just wasn't ready when we stopped by. The arrest report says when the school confronted her, she said, quote, "My babies are gonna miss me." Mullings was fired and had only been working at this facility since August. The staff here did share a written statement with me saying that the reported behavior does not reflect their values, and they are using this as an opportunity to further review and strengthen their practices. We have that full statement for you posted on clickorlando.com. In West Melbourne, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
And once again, we learned about this story because someone reached out to us via the News 6 Neighborhood Network, how you can reach out to News 6. So you can go to the News 6 app or clickorlando.com and click Contact Us and let us know how we can help.
We hear pop, 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 like very loud, fast, sounds like a gun, honestly.
A frightening encounter for a Seminole County woman who thought she was being shot at during an evening walk with her husband. News 6 was the first to share the story yesterday when investigators say 2 teens drove around Oviedo and Winter Springs, I should say, firing gel blaster guns like the one you saw back there a second ago at unsuspecting pedestrians. Now they're hearing from one of the victims who says the situation could have ended up so much worse.
My husband, he carries a gun. And honestly, he for a minute thought I got shot. And these kids playing this joke, he could have returned fire.
That is frightening. Investigators say the teens admitted to targeting people from a moving car using gel blaster guns filled with water-based pellets. Both those teens now face battery charges.
New at 5, a major change to how ICE operates inside the Orange County Jail is now officially moving forward, we understand. We know that county commissioners unanimously approved a new agreement Tuesday that limits who immigration authorities can hold at the jail and for how long. Now, under the new deal, ICE can only place detainers on people who were already booked on criminal charges. Once those charges are resolved, the county must release the person within 48 hours if ICE has not taken custody. County leaders say the change should reduce crowding, staffing demands, and costs at the jail.
Well, heads up, Bank of America customers, the rules just changed on how you can fight future problems with your account.
So coming up, why the bank can now keep many disputes out of court unless you say no. First, though.
But here I am walking around my property like a mall cop, right, with my Glock.
An Orlando woman says she's in a losing battle in her own backyard coming up while she believes coyotes are taking over her neighborhood and why the state doesn't see it the same way.
Lori Carroll's getting a brand new fence, and it looks like a regular home improvement project, right? Not quite. It's $8,000 she didn't plan on spending because she says there's a coyote problem and they're eating her pets. The thing is, the state would beg to differ. I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez here to explain why. Lori Carroll moved into her slice of Orlando paradise 11 years ago, but when she did, several tenants were already there.
Some of us have been inherited outdoor cats that can't come in that I'm responsible for because they're here on my lawn.
And responsible she is. The cats Lori can get a hold of are medically treated and fixed. They may be feral, but they're loved.
Rain control.
Her repurposed garage turned cat condo.
It has air conditioned.
Bed, tents, blankets.
Water everywhere.
Imagine her terror, finding the oldest one lifeless in her front yard. She called FWC immediately.
She sent me an email with all the stuff. We had at least a 20-minute conversation.
Lori was told the same thing I was after chatting with FWC officer Chad Weber.
As far as our officers coming out and trapping them and relocating them, we don't do that.
That's because as a species, coyotes reproduce faster when they're hunted or trapped, and why Lori and dozens of people online believe there's an uptick. Though FWC only has 2 reported sightings in Orlando this year, they note coyotes are in all 67 counties, adding the best way to prevent an encounter: don't draw them out.
We're feeding feral cats and feeding any type of animal outside. The coyotes are drawn in by that because it's free food.
Lori did more than pick up cat food. She bought radios.
They get frazzled when they hear people talking.
Surveillance.
These are the 3 new cameras.
Paid thousands to barricade her property and told me 24 hours later a coyote jumped her new fence. Lauren Melendez, News 6.
Well, that's certainly frightening. All right, let's take you outside. This is over I-95 in Daytona Beach. Heavy rain coming down now along the coast over there. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. And Jonathan, we hear lots of bells and whistles going off in the weather center right now.
Amazing what can change in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes since the last time we talked. We were watching a couple of these stronger cells in Flagler and Volusia County just about 10 minutes ago, and they have beefed up that much. A ton of instability in the atmosphere. You felt the heat and the humidity out there. We'll start with the one that was issued just as we last talked, Beverly Beach into Flagler Beach. You see the darker purples. That's where we have the strongest of the storms right now. This is sliding from north to south. So Mountain Grove, that's going to be an early heads up that you have a nasty thunderstorm coming to you. We're not officially in the warning yet, but this is going to be exiting the warned area rather quickly. This is moving to the south at about 25 miles an hour. Let me take you further down I-95. We just had this issued about a minute or 2 ago. This is going to be for Volusia County. Nasty thunderstorm here coming out of Ponce Inlet, Islesboro, New Smyrna Beach. We are included in this warning. You see the dark purple here near Sugar Mill Estates. Let me turn the loop off here so you can see exactly what's going on. Samsula, we are included in the warning, but the strongest part of this cell is no doubt in that deep purple that you see there rolling right on through Sugar Mill Estates. Likely some hail in here. Turnbull Bay Road, for example, if you're living right there, you know what I'm talking about. There might be some hail falling right now. When you can do so safely, if you catch any pictures of some hail, click Orlando.com/pins or on the free News 6 weather app. That's the best way to do it because you can also track these cells and get the alert that we just pushed out from the News 6 weather team. Pioneer Trail, you see that big black bullseye right there. That is where we have likely some bigger hail falling. So that's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning right here. That's going to be an early heads up in Glencoe. Also towards Edgewater Junction as this storm itself works its way from north to south. We're working out of the Melbourne radar. I want to look at a couple of different things here. We can turn on our threat tracker and it'll turn on the different colors. So where you see that pink and just where we thought it might be, some of that hail again showing up just around Pioneer Trail into Williamson Boulevard. That was the updates that came in. We have the threat detector here where we can now look and differentiate on the radar between some of the heavy rain and some of the hail that is falling through parts of Central Florida. Again, if you're just tuning in today, watching right now, this is where we have a severe thunderstorm warning. 2 of them, one for Flagler, one for Volusia. The strongest core of these thunderstorms, though, hanging just to the north and east of Samsula. We're at least quarter-size hail, likely falling right here. So we don't have a ton of action yet. We are expecting that to kind of ramp up in coverage over the next couple of hours. We talked about this yesterday, that this would be more of a late afternoon, late evening, and kind of lingering late into the evening. We also have a couple of thunderstorms just just trying to get going in Rockledge. We're in that same kind of environment. So maybe the next time we talk, we're going to see some extra thunderstorm activity, some stronger thunderstorm activity start to bubble back up along the I-95 corridor. As far as tomorrow goes, may wake up to a couple of thunderstorms as a cold front itself slides through. All of this is just out ahead of the front. We are back into the lower 80s. Big changes, though, weather-wise. That cold front comes through and we actually cool things down. It has been a long time since we've had back-to-back mornings in the 60s in Orlando. Have to go way back into 2018. So this is certainly some rare air behind this front. 82 on Thursday, back to the mid-80s on Friday. We're pushing back to 90 degrees on Monday, guys. We'll keep a close eye on these thunderstorms. We're going to have an update for you in a few minutes.
All right, I know you will. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, most, if not all of us, use them to hold our money. Of course, I'm talking about a bank.
So if you're a customer of Bank of America, you will want to listen up to this.
Bank of America customers may be giving up some important legal rights without realizing it. I'm News 6 investigative reporter and business analyst Donovan Myrie. Coming up next, the bank's new policy, the 60-day opt-out window, and what you need to know before it's too late. Heads up, Bank of America customers. There's a major change now in effect for how your bank handles future disputes. Starting May 18th, Bank of America's new online banking agreement adds a mandatory arbitration clause for many of its customers. That means if a customer has a future dispute related to online or mobile banking, the bank can require the case to be handled through private arbitration instead of the traditional court system. Under the new policy, customers generally give up the right to sue in court, have a jury trial, or participate in a class action lawsuit. And unless customers actively opt out, enrollment is automatic. Supporters of arbitration say it can be faster and less expensive than litigation. Consumer advocates, however, say arbitration can make it harder for customers to band together over relatively small fees, like overdraft charges, ATM fees, or other banking disputes.
And with arbitration, when you waive that class action, it's really up to every individual to recognize that they've suffered a particular harm in their consumer agreement and then to take on an individual remedy.
The move marks a return to arbitration for Bank of America, which stepped away from many arbitration clauses more than a decade ago after a series of legal challenges and industry scrutiny. Bank of America says customers can opt out within 60 days of receiving notice of the new policy. Customers can do that online through the bank's arbitration opt-out page or by calling 1-800-238-8875. For a deeper dive into the history of forced arbitration, how the rules have changed, and the phone number and link to Bank of America's opt-out agreement, head on over to clickorlando.com/dollars and cents. For Dollars and Cents, I'm Donovan Myrie.
Very interesting. Well, the next major hurricane could come with more warning than ever before.
Yeah, coming up, the cutting-edge tools helping forecasters predict sudden strength changes days in advance and what it means for you and your family's safety. So glad you're with us. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Ashley Garrett. You are watching News 6 at 5. We are following several top stories right now. Space experts at Patrick Space Force Station just gave an update on last week's Blue Origin rocket explosion. You see it right here on the right-hand side of your screen. They say they activated an emergency command center, putting together all emergency personnel in the moments after the blast. They say they found debris as far as half a mile away from the launch pad. Even with the damage, they say the data recorded could help them in future launches.
New video shows a pickup truck crashing through a beach toll booth in Volusia County, killing the worker inside before that truck then drove into the ocean. The sheriff says 35-year-old Deanna Harold had been reported as a possible drunk driver just minutes before the deadly crash at the Dunlawton Beach approach. Deputies also released new body cam video as they build a vehicular homicide case.
Well, a preschool teacher in West Melbourne is facing charges. She's being accused of abusing toddlers inside the classroom. Police say the woman pictured on the right, 41-year-old Latasha Mullings, was arrested after surveillance video at Mustard Seed Kids allegedly showed her striking and throwing objects at kids ages 2 to 4. Investigators say multiple incidents were captured on camera over several days. Mullings has been fired, and this case is still under investigation.
All right, let's take you outside for a live look over I-95. This is in Daytona Beach. You can see the rain coming down along the coast there. And we have thunderstorm warnings in parts of Central Florida right now.
Yeah, right now we're watching the coast, Ginger. This is where we expected this thing to fire off first. This is because the East Coast sea breeze is lighting up. We'll get the help from the cold front to get more thunderstorms going over the next couple of hours. And here's where we have the strongest stuff right now, mainly into Volusia County, parts of Flagler County as well. Highs tomorrow going to get back to around 80 degrees. Again, tomorrow morning, we're going to start things off humid. That is because a cold front starts to slide back through Central Florida tomorrow morning, and that will give us the chance for more thunderstorms. Again, over the next couple of hours, we are going to watch for the chance and likelihood for a few more scattered strong thunderstorms first along the coast. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning for Volusia County, that's going to roll until 6 o'clock tonight. The biggest threats with this is going to be large hail and potential for some damaging wind gusts as well. We were watching the Samsula area just to the west of the Samsula area. We'll take you back in, and again, this is now impacting us through New Smyrna Beach. A lot of heavy rain, gusty winds. Edgewater, we are getting the brunt of it right now as well. Early heads up at Oak Hill that this is going to be on our doorstep in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. Also want to get back to Flagler County. We've been watching this cell for you guys over the last 30 to 45 minutes or so, and we still have it really nasty coming out of Flagler Beach. We are watching things get a little better for us in Flagler Beach. Let me stop the loop here so we can show you. This one is heading out of Flagler County and then working its way toward Ormond by the Sea, just clinging right along the coastline. Those are the two nastiest cells right now. The two severe thunderstorm warnings rolling until 6 o'clock tonight. It's still hanging for about the next 30 minutes or so. Only two names in the game at this point. We'll talk much more about where these are headed and keep an eye on the rest of the evening for you coming up at about 5:47, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. News 6 recently broke the story about an attorney who went to war against his homeowners association. The lawyer has been locked up in jail since March for contempt of court. Now, a different legal fight is playing out in that same Orange County neighborhood.
And for the second year in a row, the HOA board has refused to hold elections. That is despite a judge ordering elections to take place. So as News 6 investigator Mike DeForest explained, some homeowners feel they no longer have a voice in how their HOA dues are spent and how the community is managed.
One by one, people arrive at this community clubhouse for the annual meeting of the North Shore at Lake Hart Homeowners Association.
I love where I live, but we need to have an election.
Normally, this annual meeting is when homeowners can vote on new HOA board members. But for 2 years in a row now, the HOA has, quote, postponed its elections, leaving the same board members in place.
It pits one neighbor against another.
Why can't these homeowners vote?
It's created a hostile environment.
I'll explain in a moment. Dozens of homeowners have shown up at this meeting despite the HOA publishing this notice stating the election of directors has been deferred to a future date. The HOA's annual meeting is underway right now inside the clubhouse there. Only residents are allowed to attend. That's why I'm outside. Instead, I'm watching it here on this Zoom feed.
We all want to see this thing move forward.
As many expected, the meeting quickly adjourned with no promises of when the next HOA election might occur.
This community has kind of lost its spirit.
So how did this happen? Well, a few years ago, one of the homeowners here filed a petition with the state raising concerns about how HOA elections were being run. A state arbitrator eventually concluded that because of the history of the association's improper conduct of elections and board meetings, a new election must take place. A judge later upheld this binding arbitration, but the HOA appealed it, arguing the arbitrator exceeded his power and authority in ordering a new 5-seat election. Until the appeals court rules on this dispute, the HOA says it will be postponing elections, meaning the current board will remain in place.
You're dodging my question.
We need to have reforms in this state when it comes to how homeowners are represented and how associations are run.
The homeowner who originally complained about elections here was Miriam Berthoff. Her husband is Bruce Berthoff, the attorney who's been jailed for more than 3 months now for contempt of court. I've posted lots of information about his legal battle with this HOA on our website, clickorlando.com. Mike DeForest, News 6.
New at 5, Florida is touting a major crackdown on human traffickers and child predators. Attorney General James Uthmeier says state investigators and prosecutors have recorded historic increases in human trafficking cases, convictions, and sentences. Since February of 2025, officials say 1,600 suspects linked to human trafficking and exploitation have been arrested. Convicted defendants have received a combined 3,275 years behind bars. The announcement comes as Florida prepares to host major international events, including FIFA World Cup.
We don't give out plea deals when people go after our kids. We want to get them off the streets, locked away for as long as possible so they cannot hurt our little ones.
State officials say active human trafficking cases rose 28% compared to previous year.
Well, close to 10 years since the mass shooting at Pulse nightclub, the city of Orlando is getting closer to building a permanent memorial. Today, we got to see those items being stored, and News 6 anchor Lisa Bell visited the warehouse, which is an undisclosed location. She joins us now from the location with more. Lisa.
Yeah, we're actually outside the Pulse nightclub site right now, but we toured that warehouse for about 20 minutes earlier this afternoon. And that is where things like the Pulse nightclub sign, as well as the chandelier and the bar top, are all being safely secured and preserved for that permanent Pulse memorial.
Crate after crate, this warehouse is full of artifacts, all removed from the Pulse nightclub and marking part of the progress toward a permanent Pulse memorial. I recently sat down with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and asked him about the plans for these items.
Some of the items will be in the visitor center, but the visitor center is pretty small, so it's not like it's going to be a museum display or anything, but there will be the ability to tell the story in the visitor center, so there might be some items that are in there.
It comes as the city just announced the design phase for the visitor center, and the entire Pulse Memorial is now 60% complete. You may remember back in December, one by one, each crate was carefully packed and removed, giving a glimpse into what was inside the Pulse nightclub.
Some smaller items like a cash register, some posters, and some promotional flyers that were found in the building.
It's a process the facilities division manager told us at the time they wanted to handle with sensitivity at such a solemn site.
All of the items are in custom-made crates. They're also packed with archival-grade materials.
The Pulse nightclub had been largely untouched in the nearly 10 years since a gunman shot and killed 49 people and wounded more than 50 others.
I know someone very close to me who said they would have been here during the shooting had something else not happened.
The pictures, the tributes, the flashes of so many stories, still overwhelming for so many people.
I just got so emotional. Tears were rolling down.
Now, the Pulse nightclub was demolished back in March, and you can see now this purple fencing that's around that site. Construction on the permanent memorial is expected to begin by this fall, and it's expected to be completed before the end of 2027. Back to you.
A long time coming. Lisa Bell reporting live. Lisa, thank you. Now at 5, more than 1 year since the controversial closure of Rockledge Hospital, Orlando Health is revealing where it plans to build its next major medical facility in Brevard County. The new hospital site is in Viera, about 12 miles south of the former Rockledge Hospital, and is expected to create more than 1,000 new jobs. The plan is for a new 7-story regional hospital and medical office building on a 40-acre health and wellness campus. The project will include a full-service emergency department, surgical suites, imaging services, labs, and eventually up to 240 beds for a hospital. Orlando Health says construction is expected to begin this month, with the emergency department targeted to open in the fall of 2027. The announcement comes just months after Orlando Health closed Rockledge Hospital, a move that sparked strong community pushback over access to care. Orlando Health said the 84-year-old facility suffered from significant structural and infrastructure problems that made it unsafe to operate.
Well, hurricane forecasting is entering a new era.
It sure is. Coming up, how AI, drones, and new storm tracking technology are helping forecasters see danger sooner. Plus,
Orange County Public Schools, we have seen this school year how they have struggled with low enrollment, but also a decline in their budget. Coming up, they gave a State of the Schools address to talk about where they're at now and also where they're headed in the future.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings.
all right, we want to get right to meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, because you say it's a weather-aware day, and it is certainly verifying.
Yeah, right along the coast anyway. I know a lot of people in Central Florida might be wondering, okay, what's going on? There's nothing happening, at least at my place. For a lot of us, not the case along the coast here. You see everything lighting up. A bunch of these polygons in yellow here. New severe thunderstorm warnings all over the place. The next one for southern Volusia County. We were giving you guys the early heads up in Oak Hill. Now we are included in that warning. This now extends into Brevard County until 6:15 tonight, just on the cusp on the northern side of Titusville. This also includes Mims. All this brighter yellow stuff is a marine warning, so certainly don't want to take the boat out at this time with all the lightning and the very gusty winds. Again, already getting reports of some wind gusts through parts of Volusia County with these stronger thunderstorms sliding through. Bethune Beach, we are taking it on the chin right now. Same for us into Creighton, Edgewater. We still have some very heavy rain. Let me stop the loop on this. Just wanted to give you that perspective on the motion of these thunderstorms. We also have kind of a new core that's developing back closer to Pennachaw, at least just to the north of us in Pennachaw, and where you see the darker purples again. This is where we could have some hail. It's certainly a very hot day today, so a lot of it is melting, but nonetheless, right on Wood Duck Road in Volusia County, that's where we have the opportunity for some pretty big hailstones again forming as these cells kind of split, almost working their way right on down I-95. So that's where we have the strongest cell of the afternoon. We'll take you back up. We have still a very nasty thunderstorm, still a severe thunderstorm warning on this for us in Flagler County and on the north side of Volusia County. This is going to also roll through 6 o'clock. This is going to be Ormond Beach. We are taking it on the chin tonight as well. You see a lot of the darker purples, still the chance for some small hail in there. And then also some wind gusts potentially. I'm going to turn on the little eyeball. That's where we get the storm reports to pop up back onto the screen. Anywhere you see the little circles, that's where we have some storm reports. So there's no wind reports with those ones. Those are some rainfall reports from earlier. But that's where we have the strongest wind now in these polygons. Let me turn the eyeball back off to get those back off the screen, and I'm going to give you another loop. I just want to inspect further down I-95 because what we have going on right here, we'll get the pencil out, the telestrator. This is the East Coast sea breeze coming in, so it's going to try to fire up some thunderstorms along that. Further back up, though, out of to our north and west, right along the Florida-Georgia border, that's where we have our cold front. You see some other thunderstorms closer towards Louisiana, Mississippi, into the Florida Panhandle. That's what sinks through later tonight to kind of spark round 2. But everything that we have going on right now, the reason why it is tied right to the I-95 corridor is because it's right along that East Coast sea breeze. We can actually already start to see some of the extra new development, and we should see more of that push its way back towards Marion County and into Putnam County, eventually into Lake County over the next couple of hours. So watching that closely, fire on up. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Here's 8, 9 o'clock tonight, pretty much right along the Florida Turnpike, likely seeing kind of flare up number 2. That is from the cold front itself as it starts to close in on Central Florida. And then as the front itself passes through, that's going to be 5 to 6 o'clock on your Wednesday morning with scattered showers and thunderstorms in the mix. Those will start to wane very quickly as we move to the second part of your morning. I think we'll still keep some clouds around, but eventually we are going to clear things out. Here's a cool shot here. We're looking at some of those thunderstorms that are right along the coast, of course. This is downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. You see the tall, vertically developed thunderstorm clouds. Again, that'd be looking towards the east, towards Volusia County, as we're watching some of those stronger thunderstorms push through. Air temperatures now back in the lower 90s. Hot day today, making it to 95 at the Orlando International Airport. The breeze right now is out of the west-northwest at about 10 miles an hour. We are 92 degrees in Leesburg, 91 still in Orlando. Palm Coast are back to 82. Certainly cooler where we've had the heavy rain sliding right on down the Flagler and Volusia coastline. That 91 in Titusville is going to change very quickly as that heavy rain is on our doorstep. Tomorrow morning, we're starting things off pretty humid, watching for those scattered thunderstorms early in the morning before we turn that forecast around big time. For that, here is a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Air temperature is getting back into the lower 80s. We're at 83 degrees in Bushnell, 82 in the Villages. That's going to shave off about 10 to 15 degrees from where we were today. Rain chances tomorrow at 30%. That's mainly in the morning. And then we're going to watch things change big time as we get towards the afternoon, not only in the temperature, but actually in the humidity as well. This is a pretty rare sight to get in early June even. We have dew point temperatures now in the 60s and 70s. Again, that is all about your comfort. We're talking about dew point temperatures in the 60s coming back in our way, low 60s, even 50s at that, behind that front as it pushes on through. So watching a couple of different changes coming our way. The tropics are nice and quiet tonight. Again, we are just watching those stronger thunderstorms across the board. We're at 82 degrees on Wednesday, 82 also on Thursday. We are back into the middle 80s on Friday, and then rain chances start to creep back up a little bit as we get into the early part of next work week. Some of that humidity is going to come back as well. So that is certainly not going to last forever. We know that, but a nice little break in terms of the heat and the humidity coming back down the pipeline. Want to just show you again where these storms are if you're just tuning in. We have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. Looks like that one just expired in northern Volusia County as that storm weakens. That was the one that we've been watching in Flagler County, northern side of Volusia County again. Let me take you closer. This is going to be the next severe thunderstorm warning extending into Brevard in that polygon color. Again, we've been hanging out with you guys in Titusville, giving you the early heads up as these nasty storms slide on through. The biggest threat with this now looks to be damaging wind gusts as we're losing some of that purple, getting into the hail core, Maytown, early heads up. Where we do have the opportunity for some hail is still hanging around Cow Creek. Let's get a little closer here. And right in that lavender color that shows up, that's where the hailstones are mainly going to be. So Pennachaw, we talked about you guys about 5 minutes ago. That's where that cell is sliding through Scottsmore. In about 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to be watching that close in on us. And then through Southmere, back to Titusville, that's where I'm watching for these thunderstorms to start working their way down pretty much north to south through I-95. And as I showed you earlier with the future radar, these guys are eventually going to bleed back in inland toward the Florida Turnpike. We have our eyes on this over the next couple of hours. Again, likely going to see an increase in thunderstorm coverage. Right now, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Alrighty, guys, we are watching a couple of really nasty thunderstorms still along the coast. Watching a severe thunderstorm warning for us in southern Volusia County and northern Brevard County until 6:15 tonight. You can stay up to date with all the warnings and the updates right from our weather center, again, by downloading the free News 6 weather app. If you happen to catch any pictures of some of the storms coming through, when you can do so safely, there's a lot of lightning out here. Send those to us as well. You can do that right from the free News 6 weather app. We're still hanging out Oak Hill tonight. We're watching a lot of lightning. You see the darker purple still on the board. The main threats with these now are going to be some pretty nasty wind gusts coming through in excess of 60 miles an hour. So again, just be on the lookout for that as these cells start to work their way through. There's only a couple out here. There's nothing too crazy in terms of the coverage right now, but that is likely going to change through the course of the afternoon into the evening. I want to show you the velocity product. We look at this to see if there's shifting winds. Right now, there's not. This is all going to be straight line, but at the same time, we can use this to kind of estimate what is going on in terms of the wind. We can to use the dabber here and look at the brighter greens. That's the wind going toward the radar. Grab the telestrator here. Let me put that back, and let's grab the dabber here so we can actually estimate what is going on around Oak Hill. And again, that is where it says minus 50. That means to us it is toward the radar again. So 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts being estimated there. That would be sub-severe. Again, anywhere from that 50-ish mile-per-hour gust range. Certainly kind of looks gnarly out there. No doubt in Oak Hill with a lot of lightning. That's going to be an early heads up for you guys in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And about Shiloh tonight. Oak Hill in about 8 minutes. Shiloh coming up in about 20-ish minutes. You see there 24. Some of the computer estimating the hail size about less than an inch. Inch is qualified as severe level, so the hail should stay below severe levels at least right now. It is really hot outside, so a lot of that ice, as you may imagine, melts before it hits the ground. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning rolls until 6:15 for southern Volusia and northern Brevard. We are staying on top of this as it slides to the south. We're going to have much more on this coming up on News 6 at 6.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. We will see you then.
Well, News 6 at 6 is next, and we're following the big stories tonight for you.
Including an update on a wild scene last week happening on the Space Coast. Coming up, what we now know after an update from Blue Origin leaders following that rocket explosion during an engine test.
Plus, Florida state leaders leaving the future of property tax exemption up to you this coming November. We're going to break down the newly approved amendment.
Now on News 6 at 6, state leaders approving a change to the future of property taxes. What this proposal looks like and what it means for your ballot in November. Plus, an update on this shocking scene from the Space Coast. What's next for Blue Origin after last week's explosion? And
I'm Catherine Silver in West Melbourne, where we're learning a teacher trusted to watch kids at this preschool is now facing charges of child abuse. What we're learning from a newly released report.
News 6 at 6 starts now. All right, we're going to take a live look at I-95 in the Edgewater area. Rain is falling along the coast, and it's looking like we could be in for a very busy weather night tonight.
So let's get right over to meteorologist Jonathan Kegis with a check of the forecast. Right now, we've had warnings in Flagler, Volusia, and also Brevard.
Yeah, we're watching the one in Flagler and Brevard and Volusia right now. This is going to roll in for the next 15 minutes. You see all the lightning is still dealing with the cell. Now exiting Brevard, sliding back into northern Volusia. Well, we already got nailed with the first storm. Again, we'll take you a little closer in. You see these little white circles popping back up. Those are some hail reports. Both of these under an inch just to the west of I-95. We were watching that before, but a lot of thunder right now from Ormond Beach back to Holly Hill, Daytona Beach. We just got through cell number 1. This is the one trailing. No severe thunderstorm warning on this one, but certainly a rocking storm as it slides through. You saw this other colored polygon, if you will, pop back up. That's a special weather statement. It's a strong thunderstorm, but does not reach severe levels. Where we do have the active warning right now, we kind of have 2 supercell thunderstorms. You see the hook on both of those, not rotating by any means right now, but you see right around Maytown. We're watching the opportunity for some hail in the deep purple there right over Maytown. And then also right along the coast, we had the kind of breaking free of that other thunderstorm, kind of splitting in half, if you will, from about Shiloh. We're going to be getting ready for that one. Some of the stronger winds getting ready to slide through right on down the coastline. We'll turn on the wind here to kind of show you where the brighter greens are. We were estimating earlier that's where we have about 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, again, pushing from north to south. Pretty much taking a trip down A1A back toward I-95 tonight. A lot of the strongest stuff now pushing right over Cape Canaveral. So we're going to be watching that quickly. Again, watching to see if there's any extra development. We have the sea breeze lighting up tonight with the heating of the day. And then eventually we're going to have a cold front pushing right down from northeast Florida. That's some of the development that you see coming to the west of Palm Coast. We're going to show you what we're talking about, what the rest of the night entails for us coming up at about 6:17, guys.
All right, Jonathan, we thank you. This November, you at home will get a chance to vote on a sweeping measure to cut property taxes.
Yeah, the Florida legislature voted today to send a proposal pushed by Governor DeSantis to the ballot. News 6's Mike Valenti has been monitoring the latest developments and is following this controversial issue.
Proponents like the governor say this constitutional amendment would provide meaningful relief to homeowners here in Florida who have had to shoulder the burden of rising costs. But critics argue that this might blow a hole in the budgets of many local governments, which rely on property tax revenue to fund essential services. Voters will now have several months to consider both sides of that debate. And come November, this only passes if it earns at least 60% support.
And I believe that we now ought to trust the people and let the people decide.
After hours of spirited debate, a supermajority in the House and Senate gave Governor Ron DeSantis' proposal the green light. Even some Democratic lawmakers approved it.
My people who have owned their home for 40 and 50 years and now retiring from their jobs are saying that they can't afford a property tax increase.
But I am voting for this bill because we're giving the voters this opportunity to make the best decision for them.
This proposal exempts the first $150,000 of a homestead property's value from taxation. In 2028, that goes up to $250,000. The legislature did make a few changes to the governor's proposal, though, including by protecting school funding from any property tax reductions. And they removed a provision that would have created a trust fund to help local communities backfill lost revenue. People who work in local government warn that with property taxes rolled back, core services could be in jeopardy. Concerns echoed by House Democrats Tuesday.
Is that this is not a tax break, this is a tax shift. And we tell the voters how much they might save, but we don't explain to them what they're going to lose. We are leaving a huge hole in our budget with this constitutional amendment.
So again, after passage by the legislature Tuesday, this will now go straight to the voters on the ballot in November. And if enacted, it will take effect January 1st, 2027. I'm News 6's Mike Valenti. Back to you.
And new video just into our newsroom shows the moment a truck crashes through a beach toll booth, killing the worker inside before driving into the ocean. The Volusia Sheriff's Office also just releasing the body cam video to the right there of your screen, and it's of the first interactions with that driver. This happened Monday afternoon at the Dunlawton Beach Approach in Daytona Beach Shores. And your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed just heard from the sheriff with new details on the case.
The Volusia Sheriff tells us that just minutes before this crash, they also got several 911 calls reporting a drunk driver in the area. He says they're now piecing together the evidence to present a vehicular homicide case for this.
And if that investigation takes 12 hours or a year, when we get all the facts together, working closely with the state attorney's office, we're going to bring justice.
Sheriff Mike Chitwood says they now know 35-year-old Deanna Harrell was drinking at a bar in Daytona Beach Shores Monday afternoon, then reported for drunk driving erratically.
Almost hit several cars. Ran into a trash can, making a U-turn in the middle of Peninsula.
Just minutes before this, he says these surveillance videos showed the black pickup truck speeding down the Dunlawton Beach ramp and taking out the toll booth with the attendant inside.
At 12:38, she kills our victim. What you're not going to see in here is that our victim, Tammy Jo Baker, enters that booth at 12:38:05. At 12:40, she's dead. At 12:39, EMTs are on location.
The sheriff says Harrell kept driving down the beach, but eventually got stuck in the sand. I need an O2 tank right now. Body camera video from deputies show the lifeguards attempting to help Baker, then show them getting to Harrell, who they say reeked of alcohol.
Hello.
Sheriff Chitwood says they had to place Harrell in a psychiatric hold via the Baker Act due to her threats of self-harm, but they are pursuing vehicular homicide charges against her.
35 seconds after our victim enters the booth, she's dead. And our job is to build a case to make sure that Tammy Jo and her family get justice.
Now, the sheriff says these cases take time, and the state attorney's office is actually asking for more evidence. He says right now they are working on getting a search warrant for the car, video from the bar where the truck driver was drinking before this crash, and then they will take it back to the state attorney's office and ask for those vehicular homicide charges and her to be held on no bond. We're told she is still in that psychiatric hold right now. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Well, just days after this scene at Cape Canaveral, space experts are giving an update on not only what went wrong, but what they are expected to learn from the test failure.
Yeah, the scene you're looking at is when Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket exploded on the launch pad. This happened during a static fire test, and this was last Thursday night. How could you forget, right? The test is when the rocket's engines are ignited, but the rocket doesn't actually lift off. It also shouldn't explode either. News 6's Tori Campbell is sharing what leaders are saying about the anomaly.
Yeah, we just heard from officials at Patrick Space Force Base talking about their response, again saying thankfully no one was injured. Now the update we did get, it wasn't in person or on video, it was through a Teams call, but we did listen in nonetheless. Officials over at Patrick say following that explosion, they quickly activated an emergency command center, putting together all emergency personnel in the moments after that explosion. They say they found debris as far away as a half a mile away from the launch pad. The damage also included smashed out windows at Hangar C. Fire officials say they cleared the site yesterday afternoon, so we're still in the first couple of days of where officials with both Patrick's and Blue Origin are being able to get on the ground to assess damage to the launch pad. Right now, they say it's too early to determine if other facilities were damaged. Now, Blue Origin does say that they've been back onto the launch pad and they were able to determine multiple fuel tanks do appear to have withstood the force of the explosion. Officials today also say that they are monitoring for environmental impacts from the incident.
The weather balloon release facility, for example, that is just outside of the BDA, or just inside the BDA, excuse me, had some overpressure damage to it. The garage door was banged up pretty good on that, but we still had access to be able to go after EOD cleared a path there Friday night to get over to that facility. The equipment inside the facility was in great condition. We were able to pull out the weather balloons and release those weather balloons to facilitate weather readings at altitude in support of that Atlas launch that occurred there Friday night.
And officials also say, despite setting up that hotline for people to report any debris that they may see wash up ashore here, they say no one actually called that number saying that they found any. And of course, we know first responders felt comfortable enough to allow 2 rockets to go up in the 24 hours following that explosion. Along the Space Coast, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Well, developing tonight in Orange County, a man in custody after deputies say he tried to kidnap a woman at a Wawa in Winter Park. Authorities say this happened at the store on North Orlando Avenue. Deputies say Matthew Seberg, who you just saw on your screen, approached the victim and picked her up by the waist, bringing her to his car. Now, witnesses telling deputies they heard the woman yelling for Seberg to stop and he was hurting her. Deputies say he drove away and is now charged with kidnapping, tampering with the victim, and we will continue to update this story as new details become available.
A preschool teacher is facing charges after she is accused of striking, flicking, and throwing objects at kids as young as 2 years old. Police say it happened at Mustard Seed Kids in West Melbourne. Our Catherine Silver started looking into the case after learning about the arrest from our News 6 Neighborhood Network.
The arrest report says the alleged abuse was caught on the surveillance system here at Mustard Seed Kids. Detectives reviewed the video and said the teacher intentionally hit multiple students from ages 2 to 4 years old. 41-year-old Latasha Mullings was arrested after the director here at Mustard Seed Kids heard about the allegations from a parent and then reported it. We went inside the school Tuesday and spoke to that director off camera. I also called West Melbourne police, who told me the director did everything right. She gave them security video that detectives say captured Mullings intentionally striking 5 different students on 11 separate occasions. This is the arrest report that says Mullings is accused of flicking children in the face and throwing things at them. The report says the same day she struck a 3-year-old on the head with a metal stapler, she also threw a shoe at the child, grabbed their shirt, and yelled in their face. Detectives say the abuse happened in the classroom, only when no other adults were in the room. When we knocked on Mullings' door Tuesday, she answered. Yeah, how can I help? And we asked about the accusations.
We just read through the report, we heard what happened, and we wanted to get your side of the story.
She told us she wants to talk, she just wasn't ready when we stopped by. The arrest report says when the school confronted her, she said, quote, "My babies are gonna miss me." Mullings was fired and had only been working at this facility since August. The staff here did share a written statement with me saying that the reported behavior does not reflect their values, and they are using this as an opportunity to further review and strengthen their practices. We have that full statement for you posted on clickorlando.com. In West Melbourne, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Well, we learned about this story because someone reached out to the News 6 Neighborhood Network. If you have a story that you want us to dig into, go to the News 6 app or clickorlando.com and click Contact Us and let us know how we can help. We have so much more for you coming up on News 6 at 6.
Including a check on your forecast with some showers that could be hitting your community. Plus.
I'm Jada Manahall in Eatonville. The updates coming about Hungerford property here and what you need to know.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Ahead on the CBS Evening News, the story of a high school graduation and a family reunion that happened at the same place on the same day outside of Milwaukee because a soldier was able to get home in time. That story and so much more ahead on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
you're driving through the town of Eatonville, it's kind of hard to miss this massive empty lot right behind me. This is the Hungerford property, and I'm your Eatonville community correspondent, Jana Manahalal. Tonight, on Tuesday, the town of Eatonville is expected to get some updates about this property from the Dr. Phillips Charities. We're going to walk you through why that matters to you. For years, this empty stretch of land has sparked some of the biggest debates in Eatonville. That's why the future of this land has been the focus of years of meetings, disagreements, and public debate here in Eatonville. But let me explain why this is important. Last year, the Orange County School Board approved a plan to sell the property to Dr. Phillips Charities, despite objections from some members of the Eatonville Town Council. Dr. Phillips Charities has an entire subsection on their website detailing their dedication to the property. Dr. Phillips Charities says on their website, their goal is to promote livability, more local businesses, and cultural tourism. But some of the residents I spoke with who did not want to go on camera said they would like to see the town have more control of what happens to the property. That's why tonight's workshop matters. Town leaders are expected to hear updates on redevelopment plans and what progress has been made since the sale was approved. I have reached out to Dr. Phillips Charities to see what updates they plan to give the town of Eatonville and whether or not they've had the chance to actually come down and speak to the residents about what they want. I've also reached out to the town of Eatonville just to see if they have any expectations of what they want the property to turn into. Dr. Phillips Charities did respond to me, only saying that they look forward to attending tonight's workshop and sharing an update with the community at that time. That workshop is on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. and we'll continue to keep you updated. For now, in Eatonville, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
And again, the meeting starts in just over an hour from now. The workshop starts at 6:30, but the meeting is an hour later. Dr. Phillips Charities is expected to share plans for the Hungerford property. We'll be keeping a close eye on this tonight and bring you updates on clickorlando.com and, of course, on News 6 at 11 o'clock. New at 6, Florida Attorney General James Othmeier is cracking down on teen takeovers, posting on social media saying whoever is organizing these events now has his attention. He goes on to call the behavior at these events unacceptable and says he is working with state prosecutors to investigate and hold those organizers accountable. Now, this has been something we've told you about for months now. After multiple events around Central Florida, the teen takeovers are mass gathering events. Some of these gatherings leading to violence, with some teens ending up hurt and even arrested. Once we learn more about what's next, we will let you know.
Well, after a year of some tough choices for Orange County Public Schools, school leaders spoke about some issues during the State of the Schools address. School leaders say this school year they have lost millions because of declining enrollment. Next year, they are projected to see 3,000 fewer students, and there would be a budget cut of $27 million. The impact's causing the district to close 7 schools. District leaders say efforts to bring in students is a top priority. Well, we do have to get back to our big weather story of the day. We've watched several thunderstorm warnings. And at last check, we were checking some activity over Cape Canaveral. Jonathan.
Yeah, watching these closely along the coast tonight. We saw some really nasty stuff from about Daytona Beach, as you mentioned, right on down to Cape Canaveral. That's where we have our newest severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to roll until 6:45. You see that yellow box pop up there, including Cape Canaveral. Some gusty winds of about 50 to 60 miles per hour. That is why we have that warning in play. And also some hail, maybe up to the size of quarters, sliding down. Most of this going to be on Merritt Island. We're also watching kind of a secondary cell here. Scottsmore, we gave you the early heads up about 15 minutes ago. Now we have some very heavy rain. That cell weakening as it moved on through. Turnbull, we have the heavy rain right now. Then Mims, this is your heads up again. We talked about you earlier. In the next about 10 to 15 minutes, we are going to get some thunder and lightning and some very, very heavy rain. Titusville, we're kind of right in the middle of both of those cells. Some of that heavier rain coming to us momentarily. We'll zoom back up again as we take a closer look at the Cape again. Going forward, we still have some very heavy rainfall coming down in Volusia County right along the coast. We've had kind of that 1-2 punch. Port Orange, we have the heaviest rain right now. Ponce Inlet, over the next couple of minutes, we're watching the heaviest stuff come towards us. Where you see that purple color there, that's where we could have some hail. It looks to be mainly below severe levels right now, but still will not be surprised if there's certainly some little ice pellets falling from the sky there right around South Atlantic Avenue, Ponce Inlet area. We'll take you further down I-95 again towards Wilbur by the Sea up I-95, and that's where we have the heaviest rain falling at this time. We have more development. We were expecting this mainly to our north. We'll zoom back out again, and you see right around Crescent City, Pearson, DeLand, that's from the cold front itself coming through. So we're likely going to see the development expand over the next couple of hours. Here's a cool shot, Port Canaveral, Brevard County, as some of the dark clouds from those storms that are just to the north of the port now slide in from north to south. That's a live look with our Launch Credit Union camera tonight. We have air temperatures back into the mid-80s as some of the gusty thunderstorms continue. Daytona Beach, we have some of the heavy rain right now. We've been through a couple of rounds already this evening. Temperatures at this time right around 70, still reporting the thunderstorm at the airport. Look at the wind that's sustained at 36 miles an hour as that thunderstorm came through. Gusts were going to be higher than that. Rest of the evening, again, going to feature from areas Deltona back toward DeLand. Watch what happens. We'll see a few more thunderstorms begin to erupt as we get to that 8 to 9 o'clock hour, eventually sinking from north to south. So watching a couple of rowdy cells for the rest of the evening, pushing from north to south as the front itself comes through. For your morning commute tomorrow, be on the lookout for this. This is going to be 5 to 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Scattered thunderstorms are still going to be in the mix. That is the cold front itself, and this front actually has a little bit of bite to it. It'll take our temperatures down a little bit, relatively speaking anyway, and it will also help get rid of some of the humidity that has surged back as 'tis the season late May into June. 91 in Orlando, 93 in Mount Dora still. We're at 87 degrees in Groveland. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
Tomorrow morning, we're starting things off into the low to mid 70s. We're watching again for some thunderstorm action early in the morning. That's what that 30% shot for storms will be for. We're going to watch the rain chances taper off quickly, though, once we get into the afternoon. Then we dry out and turn more comfortable. 82 on Thursday, 85 on Friday. We'll be right back.
Well, we greet you back with top stories. New video shows a pickup truck crashing through a beach toll booth in Volusia County, killing the worker inside before driving into the ocean. The sheriff says 35-year-old Deanna Harrell had been reported as a possible drunk driver just minutes before the deadly crash at the Dunlawton Beach approach. Tammy Jo Baker was killed just a few weeks before her birthday. Deputies also released new body cam video as they build a vehicular homicide case.
A West Melbourne preschool teacher is facing some charges after being accused of abusing toddlers inside the classroom. Police say 41-year-old Latasha Mullins was arrested after surveillance video at Mustard Seed Kids apparently showed her striking and throwing objects at kids as young as 2. Investigators say multiple incidents were captured on camera over several days. She has been fired and the case is still under investigation.
Well, a sweeping tax cut for property owners is heading to the November ballot. This afternoon, both the Florida House and Senate passed the new property tax cut proposal. The proposal would exempt the first $150,000 of a homesteaded home's value from taxation, rising to $250,000 in 2028. Now, supporters say it gives homeowners relief. Critics warn, though, it could strain local budgets and services. It needs 60% voter approval to pass.
All right, we'll have more news at 9 on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app. We'll see you then.